Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mr. E Crimecast. I am Mr. E. I'm joined by Mrs. E, and we have our guest Auntie back again tonight.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Auntie. How's your day been?
Good, real good today.
Good. Well, I appreciate you joining us again tonight, and welcome to everybody in the chat. Also, so we've got Merge, Olivia, our moderators, is back, and who guested with us a couple of episodes back. Rocky Lennon, hello to you also. And so it's been a little bit longer than we thought we might be here. We had thought about coming on this weekend, and I wanted a little more time to put some stuff together for tonight. And if you joined us last time, we did the Caleb Harris disappearance story, and went through that entire thing. We had wanted to start doing some of these other stories that we felt like needed some attention. So thanks for joining us with that. If you were unfamiliar with that case, I hope that was helpful to you in kind of getting caught up on everything. That was part of our goal. Sometimes when you there's so many stories out there, it's hard to know unless you followed it from the beginning, kind of how things got to where they were. So we were trying to go from the very beginning all the way up to the present. And we'll of course until that case has some kind of resolution, we'll continue to follow it. Where that case currently stands is that they're going to be waiting on those remains to come back. It looks like it will likely be another 4 to 6 weeks. But we, of course, will keep you updated on that. And if there's any other major developments, we'll always continue to follow that story. But of course, our focus is the Sebastian Rogers case. It's the reason we started the channel. So we will always be talking about this story. Thank you, Breezy is crushing on the same, and welcome back. And thank you for the super sticker. That's awesome of you. We really do appreciate it. Any support like that is just fantastic. So thank you so much for coming back, and certainly getting to where I'm recognizing most of the names as they come in. So it's really becoming kind of a little group here that we have, and all with this shared interest in Sebastian.
You want to say hello to a few people?
Sure, go ahead.
We've got some of our members in here. The Real Me Too, Marmy, RH. I saw Merge. We love you, Merge. And looks like Sharon is here from Massachusetts. And let's see.
Share Bear Don't Care.
Good
I
evening.
recall that name too, because it's just another great handle.
And there's Jill. Hi, Jill. And let's see who else is in here.
Amber Martin.
All right. And then
Deanna. You might have mentioned already.
How do you say that?
CR?
No. Hi, CR. Oh. No, the one above it.
I don't know. Deb? Maybe just go with Deb.
Okay. Hi, Deb. Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you for all of the all of our members and everything. And Breezy, thank you so much for the sticker. You'll get me crying here shortly, because I just appreciate those so much. I just think that's the sweetest thing in the world. It just, I don't know, it makes my day. So yeah. I appreciate that. And it looks like Sharon's from Western Kentucky. All right, that's cool. Where's everybody else from? If you want to throw it in the chat, I would appreciate that. Oh, and Deb is from Pittsburgh.
I love Pittsburgh. Yeah, it's a great town.
Hi, Deanna. Let's see. The great state of Texas is where Share Bear's from.
Yeah, awesome parts of Texas too.
And Marmy's from Quebec.
Oh, that's right. Marmy, thank you for all the emails you send me. I appreciate that.
Merge is Arizona.
Merge is in Arizona, so we're just breaking into your afternoon. I apologize. One of my best friends lives in Arizona. And Deb's from Central Texas. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, a lot of new names that I don't recognize. So it's great to see you all here too.
Breezy, you're going to make me cry.
Thank you. Breezy is crushing on the salmon. It says, in the middle of cooking salmon, so I'll be listening till done.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Well, we don't want to interrupt dinner, so we'll.
And salmon's probably one of his favorite meals.
Yeah, good for you.
That's pretty awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
And Susan Smith is here. Hi, Susan. I'm so excited.
Yes, we probably are hitting cooking time for a lot of folks. So maybe we're a little cooking listening tonight.
And then we had to eat early. Country guys from Texas. A lot of Texas here. We like you guys in Texas.
Interesting.
And Breezy's from
I
Texas
wonder if
as
some of
well.
the Texas folks found us because of the Caleb story.
I don't know.
That might be possible. Yeah, so and that'll be our plan going forward too. We'll continue to do some other stories.
Do you want to mention that one story and see what the interest level is?
Yeah, we're thinking of doing. We're thinking of.
Jill's from Sweden. Oh my goodness, Jill, that's awesome.
I don't know how to pronounce this
And
man's.
CU is from Iowa. Oh my gosh.
We part of what we're. The stories we want to cover are always going to be ones where there's some discussion and mystery surrounding them, things to think about, because our approach on our channel is a critical thinking, logical, use the tools available to us kind of approach to true crime. That's what we're hoping to do. And so that's what we've been doing with the Sebastian case. That's what we did with the Caleb story. And the one that's really kind of caught all three of our interests was this the Indianapolis Colts player with the missing son. I'm sure many of you have heard about it. I know several folks are reporting on it. It doesn't look like that's going to be. It looks like that's going to be an ongoing story in some way because they didn't bring the kid to the police station like they were supposed to. So we're looking at maybe Friday doing that story, a deep dive and research over the next several days to present that and then discuss what's going there. It's a very bizarre story, and
it has links to Tennessee.
And
remarkably,
we've got some links here to Tennessee, so we it's kind of calling to us as maybe something we might be interested in trying to cover, and hopefully this kid, hopefully we get him found too. That's always the number one goal in those situations.
I'm laughing at the comments. Share Bear don't care. If you all could get the proud feet here to Texas, we'll get her done. That's really funny. Marjorie's from Ontario. Wow, a lot of Canadians. Oh, Canada.
I'll tell you, the when we did that Caleb Harris story, we did feel like we liked the approach of the police there better than the police here. Better communication with the public and with the parents and everything, and it just seems like that. I'm second guessing everything a little bit, but it's just on the surface that seems like those are people I'd want working on my behalf if I were missing, would be those detectives. They've done a great job down there.
Oh, let's Sheila Upton says she's from Knoxville, Tennessee. Let's see.
Yeah, so we are excited to try to keep Sebastian's name out there. It would be very easy for this story to taper off, but I don't know that we can. I don't know. We're obsessed with this story. I don't know. We'll follow this as long as it goes, as long as as long as we can. And like we always say on this show, is that there's always a new development. There's always something happening. So there's always something to talk about with it. It's just a matter of what angle. And we've tried to methodically go through all of the different theories and scenarios that surround this. There's so many possibilities when you first look at it. Is he a runaway? Was he abducted? And if you're new to the story, Sebastian Rogers is a 15-year-old boy who disappeared or was reported missing on February 26th by his mother. That morning when she tried to wake him up for school, wasn't there. And then from there, huge searches went underway. And over the days and weeks that followed, the locals and everyone in the media essentially started to think that there might be something more going on here than just a lost teen or a runaway situation. He has autism. He has also chromosomal deletion disorder. So at first it seemed like, well, maybe he wandered from the home. That was everyone's kind of initial belief, I think. And then as the parents began to kind of reveal themselves, their behavior made people start to think differently. And then some of the details and the evidence at the home itself also raised a lot of suspicion. So, of course, there's all kinds of theories out there. I hear a new one every once in a while. And we've tried to kind of see what we don't know what the truth is. We just don't know. There's a lot that the police are holding back, of course, and it makes total sense that way. But we've tried to go through everything methodically and see what we could eliminate. Like we felt pretty confident at this point that The idea that Sebastian ran away on his own is just not a possibility. That him just walking out the door barefoot, no phone, no money, no clothes, walking past all of those fairly expensive homes with all kinds of great security and not getting caught on camera just doesn't, just not possible, or mathematically is so tiny of a possibility that we feel confident that we can dismiss that notion. Then we also looked at other things, various interviews early on with the Proudfoots and different things that have happened over the last few weeks. We looked at Seth. There were a lot of theories out there on whether Seth was a suspect, and we went through all of that and came to the conclusion that it just that just doesn't make sense. That Seth could be the one to have abducted or done anything harmful to his son. So there's ideas of, could he have accidentally gotten locked out? Could there be foul play? Could it be premeditated? Could he have been abducted by a stranger? And all? So there's all kinds of possibilities out there. And as we've gone through all of this, we have, at least the three of us as our own kind of team here, we have narrowed down these possibilities to what we think we're getting closer and closer to the truth, to reality, as we look at everything. And as that narrows down, it gets closer and closer to really being Katie and Chris having
Maybe
knowledge, maybe others, having knowledge of exactly what happened to Sebastian. At this point, I feel very confident saying that they have some pretty good ideas and things they're withholding from us about what really happened. What that is exactly, I don't know if we can know. We might have our best guesses, but if they don't have guilty knowledge of some sort between the two of them, I will be absolutely shocked. And so sometimes people will come at us and say, "Well, how can you have that opinion? Why aren't you looking at these other things?" And the answer really is we've done the work. I mean, we've been doing this for weeks. We've been going through
since day one.
Yeah, we've been going through it. We've taken the ride and gotten here, and we didn't come in with a bias. We came in with the idea at first that Sebastian was a runaway, like many children with autism are. That was our bias, if anything, because we have a son with autism who has run away from home before.
Not run away, walked out,
Well, yes,
wandered. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, not run away, not like I'm packing my bags and leaving.
No.
But like just decided in the middle of the day he was going to go find a field where he had been on an egg hunt the previous Easter, just thinking that maybe if he goes, there will be another egg hunt there, even though it wasn't Easter, So, we've had those kinds of things happen to us a few times. So we always live with that fear. So we initially believed the story. And then over time, we started to see what all of us have started to see, these massive red flags. And that brings us to today. The reason we wanted to do this, and we called this I don't remember what red flags everywhere.
Right? Yeah.
It's easy to kind of get caught up in these side stories, the Uncle Tacos and the drama people and the rumors and the more creative theories and these kind of people that are not really connected to the case, and forget about the obvious, these massive red flags that brought us all into this story in the first place. That's the reason we all kind of listen to all these podcasts and are in these Facebook groups and Twitter and everything else. We're here because of the red flag. So we kind of wanted to just remind ourselves why we're looking at Katie and Chris so closely, essentially. So,
well, we've got some new people we're looking at now. So yeah, but we can get into that.
So
later.
we will, and we know all about this part. I think if we have time tonight, we'll probably talk about that. Some things, like we are certainly open-minded. Early on, I never would have dreamt that Sebastian's disappearance could have involved more than one or maybe two people, just because it's so risky to involve more than that in something like that. Having to rethink that bias that I had going into the case with the new evidence that's presented to us, essentially. Is that how you feel about that?
Absolutely. Sorry, I am
Sure,
caught up in chat. I'm just enjoying everybody's conversation. If you guys see me kind of staring off, it's because I'm trying to read chat and keep up with it.
Is there anything you want to highlight before we get into the red flags?
I mean, Nick's World says, if we can see all the red flags, why can't police? I think they can.
I think they do.
I think they do. I just think that I had a viewer remind me recently that double jeopardy is a real thing, and that we need to make sure that that the police need to make sure they've got a case before they start trying to prosecute. And I feel as impatient as you guys. I'm as obsessed as you guys are, maybe more.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have to believe that he's going to be found, or he's going to get justice. I just have to. I have to believe that. So.
I think that's what's happening.
Kind of enjoying chat a little bit. We've got some people from England. I just can't believe it. Mabel, UK.
Hey, Mabel.
Mabel's my new favorite name because we've been watching only Murders in the Building, and so our daughter has recently gotten into that show. We'd already watched it once, but she wanted to watch it, so we started.
Getting older, her sense of humor is maturing a little, and
she really likes Martin Short.
She loves Martin. I love Martin Short too. He's my favorite.
Okay, and then we've had some people mention our fur babies. This is Brown E, and she needs a groom. Yes, she does. And she loves her daddy, and she tries to get in his lap constantly. So that's why I keep fighting it off, because he talks with his hands, and it prevents him from talking.
I do talk with my hand. I'll go back and watch the show sometimes, and I'll see my hand doing this. I don't realize I'm doing it. I'm a hand talker. That's just the way I am. So I'm trying to keep them in my lap.
No, that's okay. I don't think people mind. Auntie, you want to read that one for us?
This isn't a mother's love.
This is from Debbie Campbell.
And no one would stop me from finding my child. She left this child alone. I would lay my life down to protect my children, and that's what's in darkness will come.
Yeah. That's right.
No question.
No question. We just got some really cool comments going on. So
if you want to do any of those before we kind of start the flag.
We got Susan Smith, and she's got her red flag all ready for us. Now, what we did, Susan and all of our friends here, is we individually made our own red flag list, and we're going to be sharing those with you guys tonight in real time. So I have a feeling that Mr. E and my red flags are very similar, but I have no idea what Aunt E has on her list. And so as we go through them, we're going to try to get through our red flags, and then we'll go into discussion and ask you guys to put your red flags up, so we don't get sidetracked, because we are easily sidetracked by chat, completely easily. So we want to try to stay on track, so we're all not here until tomorrow. So
and we tried to do it our top 5 to start. Did you do yours as a top 5, Auntie?
Well, I tried to do 5, and I ended up with about 12. I know. It's so hard to narrow it down, because I know, but one leads to another that leads to another. And it's almost like it's hard to compile them into 5 separate red flags, because to me, it's nothing but red flags on the play the whole time.
Well, who would like to go first with their top 5 here? Just
well, you know what? Deb says she's a hand talker too.
And
CR says, I enjoy your insights. I just want to say, I love having everybody here, and I love you guys chatting, because, it just working together. I feel like we can come up with other ideas, and
absolutely.
I don't know. Oh, well, Rita's asking, who's Uncle Taco? Do you?
I don't know a lot about him, actually.
Since he doesn't really, he doesn't have a
Seth.
lot to do with the case.
Right.
So he's just kind of a sideline.
Yeah, I listened to a little bit of him just to see what he was about. And he's just kind of like a gamer friend of Seth's. I guess it's interesting if you kind of want to get an idea of what it was like playing video games with Sebastian and that type of thing. He did that with him and Seth together. And
but I don't know that he's terribly pertinent.
Yeah, so of course, because everyone's starved for information around the case, anybody that comes out that knows anybody. I think you could make somebody sandwich in this case and go do an interview, and everyone would talk about it. But to me, Uncle Taco doesn't have anything relevant to add. I don't think. Nothing that I figured if anything super important comes to that, it'll be brought to our attention. But But yeah, he it's like a nickname, Uncle Taco, and he's kind of like he seems like a friendly, nice enough guy. Just a little bit I saw, but just a buddy of Seth's.
He'll have his own show before long. Don't worry. He seems like the kind of guy that's enjoying this. I was kind of trying to understand Ginger Girl's question. I wanted her to expand in the chat about that.
Was it a red flag when Ellie didn't include the family members at the press releases? I don't know. I wonder. I don't know if they didn't include them or they didn't want to go.
Right.
I don't know if they were asked. I don't know if I've ever heard. Did they decline to go, or were they not even invited to go?
That I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I've heard that question posed to any of them. It's a good question. We're kind of keeping our little running list of questions for all of these people. Should any of them decide that they want to talk to our audience, that'll be one I will be adding, because that's a great question.
Maybe we should just start, each of us tell one, because I think a lot of ours might be the same.
Well, you know what? I probably have a great idea what his is. Do you want to do yours first, or Aunt E? Or
one was already in the chat that's on my list, so I could start with that one. The first one, I can't remember who it was. Was it Deb that was posting about the YouTube channel 6 to 8 days later?
Oh yes, it was. It was.
I think it was Deb. So that's one of my top 5. One of my top 5 red flags.
I think it was Susan Smith.
Oh, was it Susan? Okay.
Hang on, I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, so I had that as a top 5.
Tip for chat, don't worry, you haven't missed anything. We've just been kind of laying out what we're doing. We're going to be doing our red flags, and we've all individually come up with our lists, and we're going to share those with each other and discuss. And we're going to ask for your red flags and discuss those at the end, so we don't get sidetracked, and so we aren't here for the next 3 days trying to discuss all these red flags. So
yeah, and I think the idea for us is that going forward at this point, unless there's some major development in the story, our focus is likely going to be staying on the Proudfoots and the Bowersox, because we think we've kind of eliminated these other possibilities, and that over the last several weeks of us doing this together. So we're not trying to go in circles. We're trying to move toward the truth, and we think we're kind of narrowing it down. There's some parts I cannot wrap my head around. There's some contradictions I can't quite figure out with the timeline and different things that we're going to end up talking about over the next few weeks, I'm sure. But what we wanted to do is recenter and kind of remind ourselves why, because there could be a perception. It's like, man, why are you being so hard on Chris and Katie? These are people that do not have their child. And we're very sensitive to that. I don't want to believe they had anything to do with his disappearance, whether he's alive,
and we didn't for a long time,
hidden away somewhere, or whatever the case may be. So it's not something we're taking lightly. If there were just a couple of things that have happened over time, we would be playing this much differently. We would be, we would be examining everything. Mm-hmm. But they have not really left us a lot of choice, but to draw all the attention to them. There's not really anywhere else to look but the parents. What that means exactly, I don't know, but I believe they know. The way they act, the deception, and then all the red flags we're going to talk about. So the first one that Sharon had mentioned just a few minutes ago, it was one of my top 5 that I could change this list around, but one of my top 5 was going on a YouTuber's channel they had not spoken to the media for a week at all. They hadn't even put their names in the press. They hadn't done social media. They weren't attending vigils. They were yelling at neighbors for driving by their house. And when they finally decide to do media, after tons of public pressure, they go on a YouTuber's channel. And
it's not a big YouTuber's channel. It's I think at the time it had around 5,000-ish. Maybe,
right.
And we're micro. This person's way bigger than we are, but
right.
But you would think you would go on, a much larger platform.
Oh yeah, I'm sure all of the JLRs and people like that of the world would have gladly had her on or had them on the show. I know the local reporters, of course, also. Anybody, if they wanted to do YouTube, there were people with much larger platforms that would have gladly talked to them.
Can I mention, just so for the people who don't know, if you want to hear the first interview, you can go watch it on, it's Duchess. I think it's Duchess for Missing, I think is the username. And that is the first interview that Chris and Katie did prior to doing the news interview with Channel 4.
Right.
So, and it's a pretty good interview to listen to. It's got a lot of information in it.
Yes. And if you think that the later interviews are revealing, go to that one. And this is how wild a decision to me that was to make. When we started doing our channel just a little over a month ago, there were a lot of people that didn't even know this Duchess interview existed. And then we started talking about it and analyzing it. And then people were like, what are you talking about, Duchess interview? And then people went back and found it. Like that's how strange a decision that was to go on that channel. So that to me was a massive red flag. So that would be my first one. Auntie, you want to do your first one on your list? Your number one.
Ooh. Gosh. I don't know which one I would call my number one.
I know.
I think that one of the biggest ones that I feel is a huge red flag is no cameras in the neighborhood show him going out the front door or out a door. And there are many cameras in the neighborhood and there's a lot of footage, but not one camera shows any evidence of him going out the door. That was a big red flag to me. That was a huge red flag to me.
And you're probably like me. The first time I thought it might be feasible not being there. And then when we went there and I saw it with my own eyes, it's like, no way.
Right.
There's no way this kid walked out of this neighborhood without being caught on camera. There's too many.
That's exactly what I thought when I was there as well. I mean, that's the first thing that hit me. There's no way something would not have caught him on camera. There's too many houses. There was some light, not a lot of light, no street lights, but there was enough that movement would have been caught. And those closest with the cameras facing that way have nothing on their camera. So that was a big flag. That was one of my big red flags.
Yeah, it pretty much. Yes. Yeah, I agree. And you went, I'm sure you went over there about 2 months ago or 3 months ago, I think.
I took her over there a few days before I took you over because I had my own curiosity and she was around, and I took her over there. And once we saw it, I came back and said to you, there's no way.
That's right.
And you said, I've got to see it for myself. And so we took him over there and he immediately said, there's no way.
And that's why I was video over there, because we just wanted to show what we were seeing so people could be like, because it's just hard when you just hear it over, it's hard if you can't see it with your own eyes. And even video doesn't quite maybe capture just how impossible him walking out of there that way. It just doesn't make sense. So we've done our top. What's your number one, Mrs. E?
Oh, my number one.
Yes, number one red flag.
I did it a little bit differently than you guys did. You guys kind of did a compilation list, and I kind of went through the things. I tried to remember what really made me start to change my mind about things.
Did them in order.
I kind of did. I kind of did it timeline wise, and then it started kind of getting out of control. So down towards the bottom of my list, it's not timeline wise, but okay, I've said this a million times. The phone call I had with a friend who told me that when I offered help and everything, a mutual friend of the Proudfoots told me that their first names were Chris and Katie, and they didn't want their last name out there. So they would not be sharing that with me.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of weird, but that's actually not on my list. That's when I was kind of like, that's really weird.
Just a bonus red flag.
That was a bonus red flag. I think for me, when my stomach just dropped, when I felt like sick about the whole thing, was probably when they announced, or Nick Barris leaked, the landfill search. Because I started thinking,
it's a good one.
I started thinking, hey, if they're doing a landfill search, that's not good, first of all. And secondly, they had to have gone in front of a judge and pled a case to be able to get the warrants to be able to go do a landfill search out of state. So that made my stomach drop. And that was probably when my walls started crumbling down big time, thinking maybe this is not what it seems.
And that was early in.
I know. But I mean, I think because I talked to you about it as well. I'm like a lot of our friends out here in the chat. I'm pretty obsessed with this. I just, like I said, I desperately want him found safe is my preference. But if he is not found safe and well, then I want justice for him. I want whatever happened to him to come to light, and I want people to pay for it. So
yeah, and Landfill was a gut punch to you because
it hurt me. It hurt my heart, didn't it? I was
yes, because at that
awful.
point
I was devastated.
I think that's when you started to think the chances of him being alive were much less after that. Because if the police are thinking Landfill, maybe they were looking for evidence, but probably not. Mrs. Z had sent me a form that she had found about kind of like standard protocols for what to do for first responders when they have a missing child, like all the steps they're supposed to take. It was like this 4-page thing. It was really interesting. And it was kind of a lot of what you would imagine would be on a list like that about how to interview and who to interview and cameras and all that. But one of the things it said was one of the first things you should do is contact the garbage companies and have them stop all their routes, start sorting the trash by that neighborhood, and keep that all separate. Was one of their top things that you do in that first day. So I don't know if that's like a nationwide recommendation, that protocol you sent, or
yes, it's from the Missing and Exploited Children website. Yeah. They've got a lot of great resources. If you guys haven't been over there, I was really impressed with all the different resources they provide to the people who have missing children.
Yeah, it's just not something you would think about.
Or exploited children. It's a great charity. It really is. And I think that in the future, we might be needing to do some things to,
if we're looking at charities too.
Well, I think we should. Yeah. And I think that's a pretty worthwhile charity. So
yeah, I think we're going to have to find one to support somewhere.
I mean, like we've said a million times, all this stuff just happened so quickly. We're just not quite, we expected to have a couple of years before we had, 200 people in chat. So,
right.
We're behind the times on all this stuff.
Right. But when we first started this, we thought if this ever got popular, that eventually we would try to find a charity within this realm to support. And we're going to have to vet, of course, and make sure we get a good charity if we're going to go that route. So we'll have to be very careful because, this can be, I think we've already seen that around this case, that there can be seemingly good charitable things and they're not.
Okay. There's some questions here about our red flag. Or about my red flag.
Okay. This is tit for tat. Mr. E, do you feel they're still designating one separate area for the Proudfoot garbage at the landfill? Hope that makes sense. If they were able to, I think they probably did.
Oh, I think maybe to date, like continuing to do their stuff in the same place.
That's a great idea.
That's a great question.
Well, that's what I love about this, is because you guys make us think. We might make you think, and that might be why you watch, but you make us think too. Yeah, and that's a great.
I wonder what I was wondering too is, did they follow that protocol where they contact the garbage company right away, where they kind of knew generally which pile their neighborhood went to, or was it too late? Like, was it days later?
It felt like they gave up pretty easily in the landfill search because it didn't seem like it lasted very long, but they also seemed very unhappy that it was leaked to the press.
Yeah.
At least that was the impression I got.
And then we later
found Nick Barris
that other landfills were searched too through Bobby, according to her. But
according to Bobby, and that was a suspicion I had that maybe they did those on the down low, and
right. And then the one up in Kentucky got leaked, and probably because
it was Nick Barris that leaked it.
Yeah,
but
good for him.
Well, I mean,
getting the story,
but he kind of said that they didn't want it leaked later. He did.
Oh, I'm sure.
A while there, you guys are not local, but Nick Barris was doing lives just about every week to keep people updated. Before I knew this, before I knew this world existed, I was getting all my news from Nick Barris directly, and he would go live on his personal page. If you haven't followed him, he does do a lot of stuff, or he used to do a lot of stuff about Sebastian.
It's interesting, y'all. So far, your red flags were not even the red flags I had in my top 20.
Oh, wow.
So that's how many red flags there.
Really?
There are, yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. The landfill is a good red flag.
But the landfill did not occur to me. I didn't even think of it.
Y'all, I'm trying to keep up, and I want to acknowledge your red flags, but Mystery has put me on a strict schedule. He wants us to save everybody's biggest red flags for the end.
This is not what I was saying.
Oh, I misunderstood that.
I know.
You want to try to explain what yourself? So
no,
you just don't want to get sidetracked too much.
I don't want to be frustrating to the audience, so I don't want us to start a conversation and then leave you hanging. If we're like, well, I think my next red flag is, oh, hey, hello there, and then we, go on a 5-minute talk about our dog or something, and then you're going, well, what was it? I would, I don't want to leave cliffhangers all through our show. That's what I was.
Well, we do get those comments that they're like Mrs. E and Aunt E cut off Mr. E when he's getting, just getting started. And people don't like that. And I can understand that. I'd probably get irritated with us too.
It's a family thing partly. When you're in a family, you just interrupt each other, and it's, it's just kind of what you do.
Well, there's some, okay.
But no, go ahead. What do you got?
No, I'm just kind of looking. Everybody's got good ones, but I'm trying to not get ahead of myself.
Okay, Mr. E, give us one.
I'm going to give my number one was the media silence. So the fact that they were not going on social media, they weren't attending vigils, they weren't doing talking to reporters, turning down Nick Barris, completely silent, didn't even do any mainstream media until well over a week after Sebastian went missing. To me, was just is the number one glaring red flag that there was something wrong with that couple. No. What I was saying was the fact that they chose the Duchess interview when they did break their silence was a red flag.
Separate. That's a separate.
To me, that's a separate choice.
Okay.
If you are going to break your silence, they see. I think what they were thinking was that they could go on a small YouTube channel and be like, "Oh no, look, we're looking for him," where nobody would analyze or see them. And then that wasn't.
You're
working.
A lot of 100% there.
And then that wasn't working, and they were like, "Okay, we're going to have to talk to the press," because the heat was high. If you recall, the heat was very high during that period for the Proudfoot.
It was, but that was just hysterical. Merge.
We do.
I know. I need an Excel spreadsheet.
We do need an Excel spreadsheet.
I'm actually keeping a little running list. I'm going to kind of tally it up at the end, but that's my number two. That's really my first choice as a red flag was the media silence from them. That to me, that's glaring. Any parent losing a child would be out there. Maybe not in the first couple of days when you're shell shocked, but over a week, no way. You would be out there talking, not hiding and yelling at reporters.
A lot of people are agreeing with you.
But
Brown E wants back.
Yeah. Well, so Aunt E, what's your number two of ones we have not mentioned?
Okay.
It's hard to say, right? I know it's very hard.
Well, I think another one for me was the fact that they did confirm that dogs did not pick a scent up of him. And we all know if he left on foot out any door of that home, a scent would have carried. So the dog's not picking up a scent, and that is confirmed, that's a huge red flag.
Yes.
We actually discussed this one earlier.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the things at the very beginning too. They were like, "Huh, that's odd."
Yeah. Especially since he's barefoot. Barefoot.
Right.
Should be pretty easy to pick up a scent.
Well, and not just that. And I know everybody's going to come in the chat and they're going to say, "But what about the construction site? What about what else was the retention bond and all those things?" But for me, what I am having trouble wrapping my head around is how does his scent end at the end of the driveway and then magically get transported to that further away than people realize construction site and retention pond. Where's the scent in between there? That's the problem I have with all of that. And you actually were looking up dogs and different things, and we discussed that earlier.
Yeah, so I did. I read a lot. I didn't know much about scents and trails and all this kind of thing, and it's not a perfect science at all. It's very hard to get these dogs. A lot of things can mess them up, like contamination of the sites they're searching. So, like if somebody walks across a path or a trail, it can completely mess it up if they have a stronger scent. They can start following the right trail. Trails can move. Whatever they use as the item, like the socks or the a handkerchief, whatever they're using for it has to be sealed perfectly. And there's just a lot of problems that can happen. So a false scent and trail, like in the lake, or not lake, but the retention pond or the dumpster, could be possible. That may be meaningless. It doesn't necessarily 100% mean that Sebastian was at those sites or that any of the evidence is there. They can be thrown off.
The percentage of dogs hitting is very high.
Yeah, and they had a lot of dogs there. I think it's in the teens.
Well, they had different types of dogs. They had dogs that were missing person dogs that look for the living scent, and they also had cadaver dogs that look for the unliving scent.
And you want to read tit for tat's thought, because that goes along with what we're talking about.
Yes, there was way too much confusion about the dog scents. CP told Nancy yes. He told Gray Hughes they zigzagged around the house. Law enforcement said no, and Max's handler says yes. So there was a lot of confusion and a lot of dogs.
Yeah.
And then also Michelle, that's a great point.
Yes. And that's actually what the guy that wrote the article I read said, is that dogs are only as good as their handler, in my opinion. That's what the author of the long piece I was reading about, that was what he said too. I mean, it really varies from handler to handler, dog to dog, how well trained they are. It's like anything else, I mean, you might have a great detective or an average detective on a case. You just don't always know. It's not all equal.
And it seems like a vehicle is involved. Exactly.
Seems like a vehicle is involved.
How do you think Monzi smoke? I try not to get your
on is smoke.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm really bad at the names.
I think this one's really goes back to Mr. E's first one. She says, I'm way more, Zoots and Boots says, I'm way more cynical and think CP and KP chose soft media like Duchess because of the possible church media affiliation. The group some creators move in are like cult cliques of virtual signalers.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I did think about, and I think I mentioned this at one point, is, Duchess does do the billboards for the missing. And it is definitely possible they reached out to her because they heard. I believe she has they have a family friend that they have, like Duchess knows some of their family. So I think it's definitely possible that they chose to do that for the billboards. So with lack of information, I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. I know you two are probably rolling your eyes at me, but I have no idea. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I do know that that is something that she's done for a while, and maybe that was their motivation. Don't know.
Yeah,
I know everybody's going to be like, "Come on, wake up, Mrs. E."
It just has to go in the I don't know pile.
You just don't know.
Maybe.
And I don't know. Sorry. Zoot says you're kinder than I. I really do try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, even if I think that they're not necessarily innocent.
Have we done your second one yet?
I don't even know. I'm so lost. But I have been seeing it. Hi, Justice Jane. I just saw you. Okay.
I know we haven't, but somebody did mention this in the chat. Your number 2 there.
Okay. Well, I don't know that that's my number 2. That was just my number 2 earlier, but that actually is one of my number 2s.
It's pretty big.
It's a big one. And we were going to do clips with all this stuff, but I think this is just going so well. We're not just going to even full with the clips. But my number 2 is the 10 p.m. thud.
Yes.
And the fact that we didn't hear about the 10 p.m. thud until the 3rd or 4th interview. And that Ellie didn't tell us about the 10 p.m. thud.
And is it even a 10 p.m. thud? Because that story has changed multiple times. Sometimes she says it's 10:30. Sometimes she says it's 11:30.
Oh.
She's changed that. She's changed that story multiple times.
Oh, well.
That's another problem with the thud story.
The 10 p.m. thud is a big one for me because thud is a word that is very descriptive. And I think we all know that thud is a hard hit or almost a boom.
Dropping like a 10-pound sandbag on the floor.
Right.
That's a thud. That's a thud. Yes.
Right.
Sack of flour kind of something, right?
Right. Or a smack or a I mean, there's all kinds of.
You imagine a heavy floor sound,
right?
Like something heavy hit your floor. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, I think it can, I think that could be interpreted a lot of ways because that's not what went through my head when I heard the thud.
Oh no. What'd you think when you heard thud? I thought of somebody.
I thought it was slippage. I thought it was slippage from because I'd been watching too much Deception.
Well, I think it is slippage.
But I mean, I had thought that might be the time of,
an incident.
I agree, but what do you think that thud is?
I don't know, but thud's a pretty strong word.
It is a strong word.
Oh, I think it is slippage. I think, and I know I know that we have a certain percentage of our audience that is still very hopeful that he's alive, and I hope too. We are wrong.
Yes,
I just don't. At this point, I no longer think that that's likely. So I just don't think that that's the case. So I agree with you that I think it is slippage, that it's in that sound she's describing is her remembering him hitting the floor. That's what I think that is.
We don't know that, but that is what
it's my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong.
It's just a really harsh word.
That's what I thought when she said it. Mm-hmm. And I don't have a reason now to not think that.
Well, and I was watching
this is good.
I was watching that news media interview that she did, and she totally does not even mention that noise. And
it's a while.
It was about 8 days out that she did this one. It was like with the news lady. If you know which one I'm talking about.
It was later. Yeah.
With the lady with the dark long hair that was like a news reporter that came in, and she goes, "Oh, that's the elbow one. It's the elbow interview."
Well, that would be Holly Thompson. And
Holly
Thompson.
That was Holly Thompson, the elbow?
Holly Thompson is the older lady, probably in her late 40s, early 50s. Very beautiful. Black hair from WSMV Channel 4. But I don't remember her saying that about the thud in that. I think you might be
did not. That's what I'm saying. She did not mention it. I rewatched that interview recently, and that was the elbow interview. I wanted to see the gestures. And I was watching the elbow when Chris mentioned where Seth lived. She kind of gave this elbow, like, stop talking about it. But they did not mention, and they did not have a lot of details in that interview.
Okay. Country Guy is saying that's Chronicles of Olivia. That's what I thought it might be. Yeah.
And do we think Chronicles of Olivia, is that the second interview or the third?
No, Chronicles of Olivia was, I think, the third.
This was a lady in person. Was she there in the room?
Well, so is Chronicle. Yeah, there's one with where they're sitting with a picture of him.
No, that's not it.
Are you talking about the one where she was rocking?
Yes.
Okay, that's Holly Thompson.
That's the one. That's the Holly Thompson.
We might have to go back through to find out exactly how that story evolved. Somebody's saying it's Nancy Grace. I know they did mention it on Nancy Grace. She did.
Can I address something real quick? I'm so sorry. I have a brownie hair somehow in my nose, and so I keep grabbing it. So I didn't want all the people to think I was like something was wrong with me because I keep going like this.
You're gonna get the drug rumors back again.
The drug rumors. I was staring off into space, so I must be high. And now she's wiping her nose, and must be cocaine. So
she won't even take Tylenol. So yeah.
Also, Olivia was about the Freedom of Information Act real quick, and I wanted to something that's
Olivia's one of our moderators. She's been great with us.
I forgot. And, we need to make sure that Olivia go ahead and give her a plug.
And Olivia is starting a true crime channel. She'll be doing I think live streams here soon. So if you are interested in another voice, if you saw her a couple of episodes back, that's Olivia. We'd be happy for you to join her there. I'm sure it'll be great. She's always been very, very sweet and professional with us. So Olivia says, when FOIA requests were sent, they have responded to several people that it was a criminal investigation. Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about. If they were thinking abduction, they would warn the public.
Right. We would hope.
Hope so. And they backpedaled that, though. They backpedaled that when they called and said, this is a criminal investigation, right? And they backpedaled and said, oh, that was a mistake.
Well, I know.
That was my understanding.
But we do have but you're right. I've seen that email, Olivia. I know what you're talking about. I think it was somebody posted this from April, a request they had sent or something. Mm-hmm. And you're right. That is what it says. But there's still other indicators that this is a criminal investigation. The DA being involved, Nick Barris, we'd missed it, I think, originally, or didn't talk about it.
What?
But that very recent report that Nick had, where he kind of at the end.
Oh, yes.
We did talk about it. Someone sent us a clip from at Wine Time, sent us a clip from our show and said, "Hey, you missed something really important here."
We had seen it. We just hadn't discussed it
right
that night. So we should have covered it. But he does say that it's a criminal investigation, which is a big departure from where Nick Barris was a few weeks ago.
I think it says foul play.
That they suspect foul play. He says that, but there's also a reporter from his network, maybe a month or two ago, was doing a lead-in for Nick and said, it is now a criminal investigation. And here's Nick Barris, like that, in one of the local reports. But anyway, them calling it foul play is a departure from where law enforcement had publicly been. So that was a big change for Nick Barris, who's been saying that, oh, there's no reason to suspect anything according to law enforcement. They don't have any evidence. There's no clues. All the armchair detectives out there need to stop.
Right.
All of that. That's kind of annoyed, I think, everyone in this community a little bit. And now they're saying, well, okay, all you armchair detectives were right. It's foul play, or at least they think so.
Well, they're never going to say it like that.
I know they're not, but that's the way I wanted to hear it.
Oh, okay. Is Olivia in here? Oh, yeah. Olivia. Our Olivia. I was thinking Chronicles of Olivia. So I'm ditzy, sorry. But I thought this is something we haven't even discussed.
Sheila Upton. Welcome, Sheila. I don't think we've met before, but after
you've read a couple of her things already tonight. Mr. E has a real hard time remembering names.
I will. I'll get it. After Narc Divers made his final update last night, Sebastian isn't in Hendersonville. I have that gut feeling that Chris on a 17-hour trip got rid of Sebastian. It's a very
the divers are backing out now.
Yes, I saw that video. That essentially he believes that if you don't know what we're talking about, this is one of the diving teams, volunteer groups that's been searching. He basically stated today that he didn't believe that he was in that 5-mile radius, and that without any substantial leads, they're just basically, it's a wild goose chase, and there's no reason to continue searching aimlessly without some direction. I think if he had an idea,
it's a follow up.
Like I would guess that if they were told, "Hey, we've got a property, we think we need this searched," I bet they'd come back. But they're not just going to search aimlessly, and I understand that.
Yeah, that's
Sheila says Narc Divers said they have searched everywhere for months and no clues. He also said camera footage of him anywhere or any airings at all, so they are exhausting their search now. It's understandable. It's a shame, but I don't. But I mean, unless they get some direction from law enforcement, they probably should stop and go help another child somewhere that needs their services.
And I want to mention to Wine Time, I would totally play your clip, but it would dox you. So I'm not going to do that because your name's attached to it. And I have not had time. I didn't download it. I just watched it. So I don't want to do that. But Wine Time said the investigators believe it is, and people closest to the case believe it too, which is foul play. This is, we had a big discussion about this.
Right.
So.
And so if you've been following Nick Barris, he's been he's the go-to reporter for the law enforcement. So when law enforcement wants to deliver a message, that's the reporter. They're not really leaks. It's just they're talking to him and he's relaying,
right.
Stuff they don't want to do as an official statement. They give it to Nick, and that's an important service that Nick gets to do. So it's great for him, but it's a departure. It's a change, and so it's a notice change, and that they had these 2 new leads. That was another thing that was actually why the focus of that episode is what could that mean? Of course, at this point, we don't know. Do you want to say anything else on that number? Let's say on the thud.
There's so many good things going on. I'm trying really hard not to jump on another tangent. Yeah. I would like to ask everybody, we've got 264 people watching, and thank you guys for watching. And I appreciate you, and we all appreciate you. If you wouldn't mind to take a moment to hit that like button, and let us, and it helps us with the algorithm. I'm really bad at asking for these things. Sorry, guys. Okay. Would you please hit the like button for us? It would be very helpful. And if you do, please put your the number you were in the likes. So if you're number 116, put that in the chat so we know what number you were. And also, if you're just joining us, please let us know where you're from. We love to know where everybody's from. And We're discussing our red flags. Merge number 9, because you're the best. That's why. Zoot Zen Boot 123. Yippee! I like that. Oh my gosh, Breezy. Breezy's gonna make me cry.
Man, Breezy,
you're gonna make me cry tonight.
You. I think my husband and son are wondering why I'm setting up dinner plates and utensils on the kitchen island. I just can't miss this live at LOL. Oh, I'm so sorry.
You are the sweetest person really alive, nice.
I think. Should we just take a break? Give a 15 minutes.
We're going to pause now for Breezy.
I'll promise if you want to go have dinner, we'll try to be as uninteresting as possible for the next.
Yeah, we're not terribly interesting. Just listen.
That's very sweet of you.
I know.
You can always, come back. We're going to be on for a while and catch the rest on the replay. Because we leave all of our lives up, but I feel bad. Not having dinner with a fam.
Yeah, your family comes first.
Yeah, catch us on the replay. Or that part, you can always come back.
Or don't watch it all if you don't want to. It's okay.
Not that I want viewers to just leave. I guess.
No, I just don't want people to feel like they have to give up stuff for us.
Well, maybe we should avoid dinner time next time.
I know, but I felt like we did.
I think this time works out for a lot of people, though. A lot of people said this is a good time.
Yeah. Okay, so Marcia was 129, and Marcia, we know you.
So this is the order. What
that they liked, like whatever their number was. I don't know how to say that the right way. And you think as many of these shows as I listen to, I would know how to do this better. I'm really bad at it. But basically, the likes help us with the algorithm, so that other people can find us, so we can have more people join in the discussion. That's the idea. Yeah. Kristen's number 52, and she's from New Orleans. Kristen, we just saw Cowboy Mouth. If you know who that band is, we saw Cowboy Mouth the other night. We took our kids, and they're from New Orleans, and we love them.
Yeah, I bet if you're from New Orleans, I bet you know who Cowboy Mouth is.
And bye, Cher Bear has to leave us. She's going to catch us on the replay.
Bye, Cher Bear.
Thank you, Cher Bear.
Let's see. And Michelle Vokey is 130. TGSY 130. Breezy's 135. Blue Eyes is from North Carolina. Good evening, Blue Eyes.
Hi, Blue Eyes.
Rocky was number 1. Of course you were, Rocky, because you're amazing. Mary Lindsay is 132. Michelle is also from Nova Scotia. I've always wanted to go there.
Drusilla Clark, number 54 from Utah. That's an interesting. That's a great name.
Drusilla is a great name.
I like that name.
I've always wanted to go to Nova Scotia. And correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, but is it Prince Edward Island in Nova Scotia? Is that where Anne of Green Gables is from? Pretty sure. Pretty sure. I know. I'm a big trivia buff, so I read those books too. So anyway, we have
and Sheila is confirming that it was Chronicles of Olivia. People have said that a few times now, so it looks like that must be correct.
And VKD 44 is from number 87 from Lakewood, Washington. Thank you. And Chronicles of Olivia. And Deb C was 79. A lot of people are eating dinner, dreaming of blue skies and sandy beaches.
I wonder if I think a lot of people that are in this that we're kind of talking to are like, you're very interested in the Sebastian Rogers case, and the family members are not as much. So they're probably all.
I pulled you in. I know you were worried about it, but
yeah. Oh, but I wasn't listening to the degree you were. No.
And an Opie Mom from Louisiana. TGS wife is from Arkansas, and Trina Hayes from Ireland. Bless your heart. Thanks for sharing.
Sarah May WLJ 145 tuning in from Australia.
Oh, you guys are the best. Okay.
Now we need Mr. E's number 2, because I think we've done 2. Yeah.
Well, it's actually 3 for me. Because I did the Duchess interview and the media silence, but number 3 for me is going to be the no shoes. And I was thinking about this today, because the no shoes is probably an obvious red flag. But I was thinking about if the shoes had been missing, would we even be talking about this story? Like, would we have bought?
That's a great point.
Like, would we have bought it? I think if the shoes are gone, I think there's a huge percentage of us that are going, maybe he did run away. If the shoes, and I think we're looking at the case totally differently as a public if those shoes are are not accounted for. So to me, that's the massive red flag. To me, it makes it where, as sad as it is to me, it eliminates so many possibilities. The ones where he ran away, the ones where maybe from Texas Roadhouse, he got dropped off somewhere and is with someone else, but you wouldn't do that and then take his shoes home. You would keep his shoes he was wearing. The fire ants on top of it, and it's a chilly night. All of that stuff makes it really narrows down the story to where it points to foul play. And it's a very common trait of a foul play situation in the home like that. It's one of those things that police, we have heard, actually ask in their list of things they go through is where are the shoes. Yeah. And so to me, that's a number 3 that makes it, I think the whole case is viewed by the public totally differently, if not for the shoes.
And then Wonton says yes, because once Seth said the story about the fire ants.
Yes.
So yeah.
Couple it with that, right?
Sebastian did not care for getting, and Katie has said, and Chris that Sebastian didn't like to get dirty. And that would also go along with that. And then the fire ants that he doesn't like to go outside without shoes.
Yeah. Zoots and boots.
You want to do that one?
Yeah. And this is why, if you haven't ever considered this, it's morbid, but people forget to redress corpses, replace shoes with the moved bodies. It makes sense. You're in a panic. You're worrying about a million different things in that situation. If you can put yourself, you're trying to put yourself in these people's position and shoes, you can understand why people would not think about it.
Right. W. Smith.
Yeah, man, you guys have some good red flags I didn't even write down.
I know.
There's some really good ones. W. Smith said.
You were going to say Will Smith.
I know. Maybe. I don't know. I mean,
it could be Will Smith.
W. Smith, after 100 days, minimal chance of survival. Without shoes, even less. Yeah. I mean, a 15-year-old child with special needs, without his medication, with no money and no shoes, he couldn't have made it out there very long without somebody picking him up.
Right.
So that's part of why I think it's certainly a criminal investigation. No matter how you look at it.
You're so good.
Because either he got abducted, which I think is a low possibility.
We would
by a stranger. I mean,
well, they would have put an alert out in our community if there was somebody abducting kids.
You would hope.
Yeah,
you would think
so. Hope.
Okay, so that's my number 3.
I'm just looking at the comments that are going along with your number 3. Yeah. This is Blue Eyes. Jewel says, in my opinion, if they took him out, they could have brought the shoes back to make it look like he walked out barefooted. See, I don't think that helps their case, though. I think that's quite the opposite.
Right.
I mean, anything's possible, so I'm not going to discount your theory, but at the same time, I think that it would make them look less guilty.
If that was a calculation they made, they were wrong.
Right.
Right.
All right. You know what? So, let's move on to the next one.
You want to do your number 3?
Well, I tried to pick things that weren't glaring red flags. And one of the things I think that's a red flag, I guess would be,
I'll have to help.
One of the things I think is a red flag is Chris leaving for 17 hours to move the camper.
Oh, see, that's a good one, but I have to figure out why the dog's barking. So I'll be right back.
I didn't even write that. You guys
discuss. That's a good one.
I have 20 items that I think are huge, and I didn't even write.
That's a really good one.
Yeah. That just kind of stood out to me because it doesn't take 17 hours to move that trailer, and the fact that it took him a long time to get back after the initial, I just thought it was weird. And there's no explanation other than he went and got the trailer. It doesn't take that long to do that.
No, it shouldn't have. And why didn't he just leave it? He could have called them and paid for those places aren't that expensive.
Well, and he paid, from what I understand, he paid ahead of time, like so many months ahead of time. Like he paid for the length of time that he was going to be there for that job.
I've never heard him give an explanation to why he felt he had to go get it. Has he ever offered an explanation on that? I don't recall it.
I don't know, other than if his family was going to use it. I'm not sure that it didn't belong to his mom. I don't know if it belonged to him. There was some speculation about that. So I don't know if he had to go get it for someone, but in the middle of a crisis, you're going to go get a trailer. It just seemed a little odd. And the fact that he was gone for 17 hours.
How do we know it was 17 hours?
I think it was in an interview. So I remember that specifically, I wrote it down, him leaving for 17 hours unaccounted for to go get the trailer.
Is that what he said it in an interview, or Seth? There's some.
I think he said it because he was talking about after he came back from Memphis, he came back. He even tells, I was working on a job at St. Jude. I was a crane operator. It took a little while for somebody to cover for me, and he didn't get there until 1:00. And then after the next day, I think it was the next day, he said he was gone for 17 hours to get the trailer and bring it back.
Yeah, and that shouldn't have taken that long.
Yeah.
No, there's not. Yeah.
I think Chris said it himself. Olivia even said that. She said Chris said it himself. He said it took him 17 hours. I mean,
it's probably one of the interviews I haven't gone back to listen to recently. I just couldn't remember where that number came from. So
yes,
it's like I'm going to have to keep listening to these interviews like over and over.
I know. You catch something new every time you listen.
Yeah.
Because I was taking notes today on that old one, and that was one of the things was him leaving for 17 hours unaccounted for. It was just a huge red flag. When you look at all the things that lead up to his disappearance, and then the things that happened immediately after the disappearance. I mean, there's just a lists and lists of weird things that don't make sense in the actions that these people have committed. They did this, they did that. It was just really, really odd. That was a red flag for me. And like I said, I tried to pick some non-traditional red flags that you wouldn't just off the top of your head, because there's all kinds of them. Like you said, you probably I could have made a list of 50, but that was one of them I thought was one that we haven't really talked about a lot.
Yeah, and I think we're talking about eventually we're going to have to do just kind of like we did with Seth, just a Chris episode.
I think so.
Kind of ask the question, what can we clear about Chris or not, like with his timeline, and see what we can find. Sometimes we can. I actually have a question for the group. This is something I've had that I cannot answer. That will help me a little bit with understanding Chris's role. Does anyone know if it's ever been confirmed on the Sunday night, that 3-hour phone call before Sebastian went missing, who placed that call? Did Katie call Chris, or did Chris call Katie? And I've never heard anyone say. I can't remember them doing that do you know this?
No, I don't. I can't find it anywhere.
And to me, that matters because
is it a HIPAA violation? I'm just kidding.
Ellie just told him not to say, probably is what he would say. The reason it matters to me is I my two leading theories is that it's either premeditated or an accidental or an unplanned unaliving, right? So I think if it were an unplanned unaliving, then that would be Katie calling Chris, like going, "Oh my, here's what happened. What am I going to do?" in a panic, and then they talk through it.
I just don't think that's ever been mentioned in any interview that I've seen as to who did the calling. I don't.
That's the reason I'm saying you should put on your list.
Though. Well, I'm asking the chat if anybody knows.
I know, but if I ever get to talk to Chris Proudfoot,
right,
list.
Who called who?
Yeah.
Because if Chris called Katie, it would make it less likely that conversation was about an accidental event.
Right.
Unless it was like a text before, like, "Oh my, something terrible's happened, call me," or who contacted who first is what I want to know. Because I think if it's Chris calling Katie, we might be able to eliminate it being an unplanned unaliving.
Well, and that was one of my down the list. That 3-hour phone call was a red flag to me, because I don't think that's a logical thing that would happen with a married couple. They're not going to talk on the phone for 3 hours. I just don't believe that.
Yeah.
And so that was a red flag for me. Since we're talking about it, I'll go ahead and bring it, because like I said, I've got a zillion of them, but that was a red flag for me too, is that 3-hour phone call does not make sense. And somebody just said that a few minutes ago, they said that they'd been married. Oh, here it is. I was married for 40 years and I don't think I ever talked to my husband for 3 hours after being married. She said she didn't know he was missing until 6 a.m. So, I mean, I think that whole exchange is a red flag as well.
Yes. Oh yeah. I don't believe anything about that phone call story for them. That's kind of a side thing. I don't even know whose we were on. We were on the 17-hour, but that was just a question I had. I haven't seen anyone with that answer. So it looks like
that's a good point.
It looks like that may not have ever been asked before.
Sorry.
That's okay. We can come back to mine.
It actually wasn't 3 hours. He said it started at 9:43 or 9:47, and at midnight he told her to go to bed. But they keep calling it 3 hours.
That's right, Susan. That is exactly right. I actually had that. That was one of the clips I had.
Yeah, and sometimes they call it 11:30. Their stories change so many times. So we finished Auntie's. Do you want to do your third red flag, or do you have anything to say about the 17 hours or a comment?
There's some other really good comments about this particular topic.
Okay.
About the phone call. And I was trying to find them, and Aunt E.
There's a lot of people that.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Let's see. Go ahead. I'll keep looking.
Boots and boots. I'm stuck on a very vague issue. Katie was revising something. What was she studying? Was Monday morning a test she was avoiding from her work or something else? What was her revision? I don't know. I don't know if I've ever heard her say
she was studying. I don't know if she was in school along with what she was doing, but she was studying. That was mentioned.
At times. Sometimes she says she's sleeping, and I just don't think. I think the reason that story sticks out is it's not true. I don't think any of it's true. I don't think anything she's saying about falling asleep or studying. I don't think anything's true except for the thud happening. I think the thud happened.
I don't believe any of the rest of it. I think it was Eunice's comment, but I can't find it. So.
I think so. That's just my. She glazes and glosses over the stories that aren't accurate.
I think she said she was studying business. I saw that somewhere.
Oh, but yes. I think it was kind of like, was she studying for a particular exam the next day? Like, why are you up on the phone?
Well, I mean, that's a lot of multitasking. Studying, talking on the phone, sleeping. Let's see. Okay. That's a good question. That's what I'm saying. That's why I love this.
Tit for Tat said, I really wonder if her online school account shows her navigating an online textbook during the time.
That's a great question.
So my age, I wasn't even thinking about an online textburg. I was thinking about a book.
But that's probably the rise in online school. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Paper.
And that's what Merge said. Yeah. All right, Aunt E, you're killing me.
This was about the school.
Oh, okay.
KP said on Nancy Grace that she was taking a business course with DeVry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that now that you say that. Yes.
We've got some more Nova Scotia. That's awesome. Yep. Let's see.
You're up if you'd like to do number 3 for you.
See, I don't. Well,
or you can jump around if you don't.
I've got a few. One of them I'm revising because this one's really weird. But this one's really weird. We talked about. Okay, look, that's the one I have for number 3.
Yeah.
But that is probably bothering me more.
If it's
okay.
If it's bothering you, I'm sure it's bothering everybody else.
Okay. The 3 shirts. And not being able to figure out exactly what your child had on. And my reasoning behind the 3 shirts is because I understand he had a variety of those types of shirts, and we have kids and they have a variety of their favorite things as well. However, it's also stated that he didn't have, that Katie kind of kept track and, got rid of the extra stuff in the house.
They seem to be tidy.
Right. And you said earlier, you're talking about the military training and things. And that's a typical thing with military people is they tend to, are tidy.
Right.
My problem is that by deductive reasoning, how could you not know if you didn't know exactly what shirt your child went to bed in? Could you not, through deductive reasoning, figure out which shirt it was? if the Minecraft shirt's dirty and the Halloween shirt's dirty, it must have been, what was the other one?
Minecraft, Star Wars, and Halloween.
Okay, so then if Minecraft and Halloween
but all black,
were all black,
yeah.
Well, if Minecraft and Halloween are gone and are not gone, but are dirty, then it must have been Star Wars.
Right.
I guess that's, and I understand kids. I've got a child that changes clothes about 50 times a day and has a constant load basket of clothes upstairs. And I understand that part of it. But after he was gone, the deductive reasoning of figuring out which one it actually was, that's what bothers me.
Right.
And then where are the other 2 shirts?
And how did they know that 3 shirts are gone and not more? So let's say you're so on top of it that your son has 20 shirts or whatever.
Right.
20 long sleeve, 20 shirts. Just say it's 20 shirts just for pick a number. And that when you're going through things, you see, oh my, 3 black long sleeve shirts are all missing. And you know exactly what they are. Okay. Why isn't that mentioned when the release is made in any of these reports? Because what they say is that the flashlight and the phone are gone, or no, the flashlight and his glasses are gone, and that's it. He doesn't take his shoes, doesn't take anything else, no bags, no money, no wallet, no extra clothes. But according to this, he took 2 extra shirts, and they don't know which one he was wearing, but they believe he was wearing one of them. Well, that doesn't line up with what happened.
Right.
So either, and how do they know it's not a different shirt? Maybe one they're not thinking of.
Well, Merge makes a great point. Merge says, right, as a mother doing laundry, you would know. She knew exactly which pants he had on.
Well, and the fact that they only have 1 child in the home, you're going to know the clothing that's missing. It's not like you have 3 or 4 kids and you're trying to keep up with it. You've got 1 child and he has a very rigid routine of which shirts he likes to wear anyway.
And then Sergeant King says, did he sleep in the shirt?
They won't talk about that. They've been asked about that and they won't talk about that, and we don't know why.
And I will say, though, that our son with autism will not sleep in pajamas. We try and try and try, and he refuses to sleep in pajamas. He wants to sleep in sweatpants and his t-shirt from the day. He will not sleep in pajamas. It's very rare that I can talk him into pajamas. So, I mean, I don't know if that's a quirk with autism. I don't know any other, if we have any other parents of autistic kids out there, let us know in the chat if your kids like to do that as well. But
I just don't know. The shirts doesn't make any sense. Why it wouldn't have been mentioned? And if it's a matter, if it's that they're so organized that they know that 3 shirts are missing, why didn't they put that in the news? And if it's that they're so disorganized that they don't know how many shirts he might have had, how are they certain that it's one of those 3 shirts and not some other? I know for us, if a shirt was missing, we wouldn't even know. I would have no idea. We have so many just random t-shirts that have come and gone.
This is opinionated.
Opinion. I thought you were describing the post at first.
No,
the name of the person.
Name.
Opinionated says.
That's a great name.
He said it wasn't 3 shirts. He just didn't know what the picture was.
Okay, but that's the same point.
In that interview, the first time he's asked about this and talks about it, he gets real cagey. The interviewer, I can't remember who it is, they keep trying to nail him down. I think it was one of the PIs. Kept trying to nail him down.
It was on Web Sleuth.
Yeah, they kept trying to nail him down and go, look, I understand what you're saying. I just don't understand what you mean. How do you know it's a black shirt with one of these, but you don't know which one? And then he does that thing where he's being deceptive, but he plays dumb. And he's like, well, I've just told you because I just told you. That's why you should believe me. It's one of these 3 black shirts with this one of the. And she's like, yeah, but I don't get it. How do you not know? How do you know this? And he just wouldn't answer that question.
He was very aloof in his response after that. And it was weird. The wording was very strange in the way he answered the question too.
Okay. And then later they said the 3 shirts are gone at a different date. They say the 3 shirts were missing.
Mrs. Smith says that they didn't say that. Do you remember where you saw that?
I remember it because I remember us watching it together.
Which part?
Part where they ask and he didn't say that 3 shirts aren't missing. it was odd. It's like you can't really tell from his answer what he means.
But he knows what in that interview, he knew what that private investigator was trying to ask. He just was playing dumb, like he didn't understand the question. Because you reach a point in an interview where you've asked a question 3 or 4 different ways, and he's just refusing to answer him, acting like he doesn't understand what she's talking about and that she's the idiot. That's the way he played it.
Sorry. I'm sorry. No, I was just I'm going along with what you guys are saying. But again, I mean, I don't know. What am I trying to say? We know that he had very few pairs of shoes and that they knew exactly what shoes he had, where I couldn't tell you me personally, because I have 3 kids. I have no idea what shoes are in the house right now. And if somebody left without shoes, I wouldn't have a clue. But with the shirts, I understand he had a lot of shirts that had these things on them, but I've got a son, Auntie bought a ton of Mario shirts for my son recently. And I would know which Mario shirt. They might all be Mario. They might all be white or blue, but I would know which Mario shirt. I would know it was a Mario shirt that was missing. Does that make sense?
I'm going to read I totally didn't interpret it. So this is Dreaming of Blue Skies and Sandy Beaches. I totally didn't interpret it that way. I understood that he had lots of shirts, but they were all primarily one of these 3 characters' themes. Did I get that wrong? Well, the only thing about that is that I've seen him in lots of shirts that don't have just those 3 things. And again, it's still like, how did you know though? How do you know it's a black shirt? You didn't see him. You either know they're missing, or you saw him wear it to bed.
And Chris he wasn't even there. Supposedly he was nowhere around during the month of February when he disappeared, but he was the one answering the question about what he had on, and it had to be one of those 3 shirts. So, yeah. I mean, that in itself to me is a little bit odd that he would be so certain when he wasn't even there.
Right. He's certain about a lot, supposedly not there. Right.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
That's another red flag. I don't even have him on my list. It's probably one I should.
Okay. Well, let's first acknowledge, please, because like I said, I get so emotional when you guys do this stuff. I don't know why. It's a bizarre trait.
It's so unexpected. So another great name though, Maria Antoinette Lopez. I will be here with you till the cows come home. Heart. Thank you so much, Maria Antoinette.
Funny story. When I on a side, I'm gonna sideline for a second, guys. When I had cancer, how long ago was that?
9-ish.
I don't know. Yeah, 9 years ago. Yeah, 8-9 years ago. We had, or my chemo nurse, her name was Ace. You remember this?
I have not thought about this in a long time.
And she was a beautiful Filipino lady. And we discussed this all the time. We're like, why do you think they call her Ace? It's probably, he would say it's short for Candace, or, things like that. And so one day when I'm doing chemo, I'm sitting there talking to her, and I had a good rapport with her. And I'm sitting there talking to her, and I said, my husband and I have been having this discussion about why you are called Ace. Mm-hmm. And she said, well, I said, is your name Candace? She said, no, my name's not Candace. I'm called Ace because I'm the oldest grandchild, and my grandmother calls me Ace, like the first one in the deck, like a card deck. And I was like, well, that's really cool. I said, well, just out of curiosity, what's your real name? And she said, Marie Antoinette.
right.
And I was like, of course, I would have a chemo nurse with the name Marie Antoinette, for real. So, well, thank you so much, Marie Antoinette Lopez. We appreciate you. That's awesome. And I appreciate that you'll be with us till the cows come home.
So I'm going to go to my number 4 on the list.
Okay.
And I don't think I've seen this one yet in the chat. I probably missed it because it's been awesome tonight. But so number 4 for me was that they left town. So law enforcement asked them to stay. If you didn't remember, if you're new to the case, about 2 weeks in, Chris has to go back to work, which is kind of understandable, that part where he has to go back, but Katie went with him, and she certainly could have stayed back at the house. There is no world in which my child is missing and I'm leaving my house in the 3rd week. Not happening. Not possible.
You took one of mine.
There's just
you don't have more.
Yeah, I've got plenty.
So that to me is such an unimaginable thing. I'm living in that house for years until that child comes home.
Well, and if I weren't going to be home for some reason, if I wanted to go out and search, there would be somebody there waiting for him to get home.
Family, yeah.
Somebody that he trusted and knew would be there waiting if I had to leave for any reason. And I said this, I think I wrote this down. It's understandable that Chris had to go back to work. There are bills to be paid. And it is understandable that eventually people have to go back to work. What is not understandable to me is why she didn't. And I understand that they said that they were being threatened and all of those different things. If you feel afraid, then you have somebody stay with you, but you stay in the house. You wait for your child to come home.
Absolutely. So somebody had shared this on one of the Facebook groups. I'm on a bunch of them, so I don't remember which one it was. But they were talking about a concept called consciousness of guilt, and this is something that prosecutors will sometimes use to, which is essentially these red flags, key ones that they will use as evidence in a case. And one of the big ones is leaving the area.
Oh, I want to hear all of these. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot. Some of these we're going to be talking about, but that was one on that list. And the idea of consciousness of guilt are actions that are typical of a guilty person. So leaving town in the middle of something like this is one of those things that a prosecutor, if they ever bring charges, if it ends up being that way, you will likely hear that in the courtroom brought up. So to me, that's a giant red flag. I don't even know what to say about it. It's so absurd,
glaring,
that it's just in your face. It's like it deserves multiple flags. It probably could have been even my top one. It's that bad to me. But Auntie, have you got a third or a number 4?
I do, and I'm going to acknowledge Deb because she actually had. It's the same one that I had, and she said she had a couple at the start, but a big one was when she said that she put the dogs in the cage. And she told her to put the dogs up and go to bed. And in a later interview, he said the dogs sleep with her when he's not home. Why were the dogs in the cage if normally they sleep with her in bed when he's not there? And he supposedly wasn't there. That was a big red flag. It didn't come out till later because we didn't hear it until an interview later when she said, he had said to put the dogs in the cage and go to bed. Well, why would you put the dog in the cage? He's the one that said that she slept with the dogs when he wasn't there. So as Deb said, that was a big one for me. And I had that on my list because, and also the fact that we didn't really hear anything from neighbors, no reports of dogs barking. And we all know little dogs are barkers and they tend to bark when there's people that try to get in the house, people that try to get out of the house. Even if it's yourself, sometimes your dog will hear the noise and will start barking when you're going in or going out. So why did those dogs not make any sounds?
Oh, so this is actually an interesting new thing I had heard. I think in one of the recent
we listened to the second Duchess interview recently.
Was this about Sebastian getting a snack at night?
Yes.
So it was the second Duchess interview.
It's the second Duchess interview.
Also snacks.
Also a good interview. And I would recommend for those of you that are watching to go listen to it or watch it.
They reveal things about themselves when they start talking. They have no idea what they're revealing. But she was talking about how sometimes Sebastian would get up in the middle of the night for snacks when he wasn't, not supposed to have snacks at night or whatever. But that the reason that the dogs didn't bark at him is because they knew him. When he got up, that they wouldn't bark because they knew him. Well, what was interesting to me about that is that what that can tell us is that it's further evidence that there was not an intruder that came into the home, because what she's saying is that somebody that the dogs don't know would have started barking.
Yeah, they said the dogs were sitting with them at that time and the dogs weren't barking during the interview. Yeah.
Right. So if you have these theories of a predator coming into the home or Seth, or I'm assuming Seth didn't know the dogs. Maybe he had been around them a lot, but or you've got the theories about a hit man coming in or a paid kidnapper, all these kinds of things. That makes that less likely too. Thank you, Soggy Cheetos, for cool podcast, guys and gals. Everyone hit the like button for them.
So I actually really like the Soggy Cheetos name. I'm a big fan of Cheetos. And then also Tit for Tat gifted one Mr. E Crimecast membership. That is so sweet.
Thank you, Tit for Tat.
I don't know how to show that. How do you show that?
I think doesn't it show who got it at some point?
Oh, I see it at the top. It says one gift.
Yeah,
that's very nice of you.
But also, I can go over here and find out who got it. Let's see who got it. Little Miss Sharon was gifted a membership by Tit for Tat. Well, Little Miss Sharon, make sure you thank Tit for Tat. And Tit for Tat, thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. That's awesome. You guys are just making me happy. You just make me happy. I don't know how to.
This is something I didn't think of. Could she have drugged the dogs so they didn't bark? I never thought of that. It's a possibility.
I mean, I think everything's open to possibility.
Yeah, but I didn't. That never crossed my mind.
Okay, and that I've been guilty of saying it like that too. Because I've been guilty of saying it like that. I will say. The real Me Too says, yes, little dogs are the worst barkers.
Yeah.
That's what, nothing. I went to go check on the dog a minute ago to see what was wrong. I thought maybe somebody was here. No, nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Just barking.
Just a couple little dogs having a big time.
Yeah, we've always had a problem with the dog stuff too, because even with Sebastian, if he got up in the middle of the night, I think him opening the front door would very likely make a couple of little dogs hop up and start yapping, wondering what's going on.
Right.
I think so. Anything else on the dogs, Auntie?
No, I think that was all on the dogs. Just that situation with the dogs in the bed and the dogs in the cage, and that whole thing was really a red flag to me. Like I said, though, it didn't come out till later as they did a few more interviews. You got a few more pieces of the puzzle, and I was like, that doesn't go with the story.
So let's go. That was number 4 for us. What have you got number 4 for you?
Oh, we're back to me again?
Yeah.
Oh, I like listening to yours.
I know. Well, we got to let the people
fill
in the red flags that we can't, that we forgot about.
Okay.
Got to have time for that.
These are sort of, a lot of mine are like, start out, Chris is hostile about.
I had a theme in mind as well, and it was hard not to get away from that theme of wanting to pick the same person for all the red flags.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know which one to do. Okay, so I think I'm going to do these. The Chris's hostility about the money.
Oh, that's interesting.
It bothers me.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, maybe, you know what? That's probably not the best one. I'll just do the one I was going to do. I'm like backing out of the one.
Yeah, I don't think it's top 5.
I know. I'm backing out of the one I was going to do. Okay. It's the Bauer sock stocking.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I was backing out of it.
Why you were back.
I don't know. Well, I mean, won't you explain before me so I don't trip over my words?
Okay. So if you don't know what she means, I think why this escaped us a little bit was we've tried to focus really on the 3 main people and largely have tried to leave outside family members out of this discussion, just out of our own. I have felt very sensitive about it. Like in a lot of ways, cousins and aunts and all these people, they're victims of this whole situation too. Their lives get upended. And so I have a lot of sympathy for people that are not the 3 parents involved, because they're just family members. But you have all these people kind of sleuthing into their lives and looking into every little thing, and I kind of feel bad for them. So I'm trying to avoid talking about them as much as possible. It's not that we haven't been aware of what's been going on. It's just until they haven't looked like major players exactly, or at least in the ways that he did were more like unfounded rumors. So Terry Bowersox, though, there had been these reports. The first one we knew about was from, I think, JLR, who's a citizen journalist. And I'm sure most of you know who JLR is, but he's basically a citizen journalist. He covers true crime and lots of different stories. But the Sebastian Rogers has been one of his main focuses for the duration. I think he became close with Seth at one point. And he reported that for about a half hour, he had been followed by Terry Bowersox in that Infinity. And there's a picture of him out on the side of the road, and he's just kind of, and he posts this, and it's like, well, that's weird, that he might be following a reporter around, and don't know if they had some kind of words or personal issue. You don't know what to make of something like that at first, right?
You kind of wonder if it's not, a
misunderstanding.
Maybe he was following him. You just don't know
what the issue might be.
That was at the beginning, so we kind of weren't sure what to think of JLR either. We didn't know if he was just somebody that was like instigating these things.
Right. We don't have years of history following these YouTubers, so we don't know a lot about their track record. So JLR is like new to me as of like 2 or 3 months ago. Most of these people are, and so I didn't know what to make of it. But then you start hearing more. I think other YouTubers, Dolly Vision, different volunteer groups were talking about being harassed and threatened, and there were stories of slashed tires and all this kind of like stuff. And you don't know what to make of it. You don't know if it's like maybe a YouTuber just trying to get attention, for a channel. Those things happen, or if it's legitimate without evidence. We just didn't talk about it, so because I didn't know what to make of it. It's such a stupid thing for Terry Bowersox to do that you just kind of think, surely nobody is foolish enough to chase and stalk reporters. But a few days ago, if you don't know, Bullhorn Betty was in Gallatin. She's another citizen journalist, does work very similar to what JLR does. And she was in town to put up flyers, meet with various YouTubers and volunteers. And we had actually met Betty. The Real Me Too had contacted. We met, and we got some signs from Betty.
We got some Sebastian signs from Betty.
Yeah, we got some Sebastian signs.
Yeah.
Seth had given her a bunch of signs and stuff to give to locals here. And so we met with her, and she was lovely. We had a great conversation, talked a little bit about the Sebastian story. And it was great. It probably would have been a great podcast. But anyway, it was a great conversation.
Had coffee and just discussed the case a little bit. Yeah. And she's a lovely person. She was very kind to us.
Couldn't have been sweeter. Yeah. She could not have been sweeter. And so she gave us some signs, thinking we might know some good strategic places to put them. And when we left, she was kind of like, I think she was, her plans were kind of fluid. So she was like, yeah, I think I'm going to go do some more signs today. She was kind of thinking which roads to do and that kind of thing. And we said goodbye. And then, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours later, this incident happens with Terry. And we don't have to play the video.
I think most people that are in here have seen it. If you haven't, I can pull it up, but it would just take some time. But essentially, I don't know that I have, I don't have it queued. So let's just go on. I don't have it queued.
I'm going to guess 99% of you guys have seen it anyway. And if you haven't, Bullhorn Betty has it on one of her videos.
It was from what day did we meet with her? Whatever day we met with her. I can tell you. Just give me a second. I'll tell you what day it was.
We could probably just. Well, anyway,
because it was not an hour or so after we met with her.
I could probably figure it out by the
thumbnails.
I've watched it a couple of times to make sure that, because you almost cannot believe what you're watching, right? So what happens is, I guess throughout her day she's putting up signs. She's doing live stream, and it
was last Tuesday.
It was last Tuesday, one of her live streams last Tuesday.
Yeah.
And she shows herself putting signs up on posts and all over town, all around the neighborhood where Sebastian went missing, all in front of the school. She put up quite a few signs. And while she was in town, I guess she'd been getting harassed to some extent. Somebody had called her hotel. And then she had mentioned that to us. And then I guess during this live stream, she had the police called 2 or 3 times. She's thinking that it's some other YouTuber that has a beef with her. And then that's what her theory is, while she's doing her live stream. So she's at the Texas Roadhouse. She does some posters there. An officer arrives, and she gets out of the car. And you can see this all in the live stream. So she's talking to this officer, for 15 or 20 minutes. She gets back in her car and then she vents about her frustrations with that. While she's talking about her theories about this YouTuber working with the Proudfoots or whatever. You can see in the back of her car like lights flash, like up across the top of her car, and so somebody's pulling up right behind her. And then he kind of curls around, and it's Terry Bowersox in that Infinity, and she gets all amped up, and she follows him, recording the entire thing. Then at the stoplight to leave that parking lot, she gets out of the vehicle and confronts him, and it's an amazing event in so many ways. I don't even know. I know that
I couldn't believe it was happening.
it's unbelievable. It's like it's like something out of a movie, really, to see something like that. You just can't believe that something like that could have. I bet it's one of the most amazing things she's ever had happen to her. Anyway,
and you don't mean amazing like in a good way. You mean amazing like
blows your mind.
Like blows your mind.
I cannot believe that this happened today. I just cannot imagine what that must have felt like to have this man stalking her, getting her license plate. She's I know that there are fans of JLR. There's fans of Bullhorn Betty.
There's fans of everybody.
There's people that don't like either or both or whatever. But it doesn't matter what you think of these people. We all have things we like and taste. Citizen journalists should not be getting stalked by family members that are in town, not on your, they're putting up posters. This is one of the, here's a say it out loud for you. Like we've done before. Say this out loud. There's a journalist in town bringing awareness to your missing grandson's case. And they've spent their own time and money putting up posters and signs all over the city, bringing all kinds of new eyeballs to your missing son's disappearance. And you as a grandparent think that what I need to do is stalk her and scare her and intimidate her in a public parking lot. Is that the actions of a sane, innocent person?
Say it out loud.
I mean, just say that out loud. That's what happened. And I know that people are trying to make excuses. Go watch that entire video 30 minutes before that confrontation happened. She wasn't stalking Terry. Terry stalked her. She's in the same spot for
she was
40
on
minutes
that thing for an
before
hour.
Terry pulls up behind her. So
Dismiss
the nonsense about Terry following Terry. It's definitely the other way around. You just have to watch the video to see, because it's a stream.
With your own eyes, yeah.
It's a stream. She doesn't break. It's live. She's not. She's in the same spot for like 45 minutes before Terry pulls behind her. She should not have gotten out of that car.
No, I wouldn't have done that.
I mean,
but I could also see her wanting the justification to prove it, and because people would call her a liar.
They would have.
Mm-hmm.
They would have said that was not true. They would have said it was the only way she could have probably proven what had happened, because people would have doubted.
But that was unsafe for her to get out of the car.
Man, that's scary.
I wouldn't have.
That's scary because we don't know these people. These are people that don't think about what the kind of actions these people have been comfortable with. Chris Proudfoot, according to Bobby, is the kind of guy that'll step in front of your car and stop you and threaten you, and the
Bobby
teenager in the back. Bobby the neighbor from the JLR interview. That's it. There's according to Nina, the ex-wife of Chris, Terry Bowersox is the kind of person that will stand on his front porch, tell you to get off my property. Allegedly, he said he grabbed a bat, according to Nina, and said that I will bash your head in and your two children who were there with her. Okay, these are not people that have normal person boundaries. The law is fluid for people like this. Social norms are fluid for this family, and they've demonstrated that the way Chris called that PI on that recorded message with Chloe and cursed her in ways I would never dream of speaking to my worst enemy. And this is just a private investigator. These are people that have they don't have the boundaries you and I have. We don't do these things. These are people that bully their way through life, and they intimidate people. Don't approach these people. Leave them alone. If you're a YouTuber watching our channel, I don't think it's safe to talk to any of these people in person. We don't know what happened. we know something happened. We know there's a criminal investigation. I don't know exactly who's involved, but somebody's got this child somewhere. The police believe that, and I believe the police. I think it's dangerous. I hope that everyone that's a citizen journalist kind of takes a breath and backs off of the those situations. It scared me for her. It was
yeah.
Did you feel that way? I mean, I know I'm kind of ranting on about it, but I was really worried about.
It was scary.
I mean, I could have imagined anything happening in that moment. You walk up to somebody's window, it's scary, and I understand why she did it. You're right that was the only way that people were going to believe her.
Well, people are still calling her a liar because of it now too.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no way anybody can call her a liar or dispute it. You can see him drive behind her. Then you can see him pull on out. She follows him and stops at the red light and gets out of her car, and it's him in the car, and he admits, yes, I'm Terry Bowersox. I mean, he admits it. So there's nothing you can deny about it. You can see it happening. I mean, it's on camera.
Yeah. It's undeniable. I
just want to go through some of the stuff in the chat. I am Bear says VHB, Dolly, JLR, Terry Lynn, CJ have all had bad experiences with searching, and that doesn't include the people who claimed with the Cajun Navy that they were.
Who's CJ?
I don't know.
I'm not sure who CJ is. Terry Lynn we're familiar with. I didn't know Terry Lynn has she had threats too.
I think she's had some things happen. Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's not right.
Yeah,
it's not right, and it's a big red flag.
Okay, so that I was holding up the chat to kind of show some of this.
I know stuff. I went off on that, but it does. I'm scared for people. I want people to be safe and careful.
Right.
Betty, if you end up watching this later, you've got fans here.
She doesn't have time to watch us.
It's people that like her, like us sometimes. So maybe if you talk to her,
anybody that's doing this,
if she comes back to town, take a ride along. I'm sure one of her fans will go ride in her car with her.
Right.
Just be safe. I don't know. I know she's independent and
everybody needs to be safe. Like a lot of people worry about Terry Lynn too because she's out there alone a lot.
Yeah,
so.
A lot.
Yeah, if she's getting threats like that too, if she's then we gotta be careful. The live streaming where people know where you are. There's some big risk there.
Yeah.
Diane Reed says, none of these family members behave like the way a normal family would behave if your child was missing. It's like they are totally bullies, don't care the way they should or appreciate help from outsiders.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I find it odd. That was one of the things that kind of goes along with this is the fact that they said they got death threats. Why would a family whose child is missing get death threats?
I would think, you know what, though? I believe them. I believe that there are a lot of crazies in the world.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You know how I am. I really want to give them the benefit of the doubt.
You mean
I just don't think people with a missing child. I just don't think people with a missing child are going to get death threats. I just don't think so. I just don't think so.
Oh, that's a good point. I got time today makes me think Sebastian is in the area since they keep running away searchers away.
Yes, that they're right. They're scared of something,
and then
they're not so confident that they're sitting back, which in a roundabout way makes you think that there's hope of solving this case.
And I have seen the Sam's receipt, Susan. So Susan says the Bowersox have provided a receipt from Sam's Club now to show that he was in the area, but I don't believe that at all. I think it's photoshopped and damage control. I don't know. I will say, I mean, is it just for speculation? Is it possible that Terry was at that and happened to get alerted that, maybe he was shopping at Sam's and got alerted that she was in the area? We don't know.
Multitasker. Maybe he just went in to grab some milk and.
That
like while
if
he's stalking.
If I wanted to, that.
But if he knew, let's say if he had been. She claims, I think.
Oh, I believe it was on a video that he's behind her another time.
Yeah, I think because I listened to her video, one of the ones today. She says something like, that he was behind. He had been apparently behind her for at least a half hour. It's some. I guess people have been going through the video trying to.
At the gas station. She was pulled into a gas station, and supposedly there was video of him going through the gas station behind her.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure if they ever were able to identify it for sure, but several people were saying he was in that vehicle went through on the video while she was talking.
Right. And it could have been Photoshopped. Really that receipt, there's no way for us to verify that. That stuff is so easy to fake. We don't know. We can't verify one way or the other.
No, and we can't, we can't.
But it sort of
if I don't have an eye, I do have an eye for that, but it's not.
But it sort of doesn't matter because he could have run into the store and bought some items while she was sitting there talking to the policeman and still thought he had plenty of time to come back or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, even if it's a legitimate receipt.
Yeah.
That's a good point too.
Yeah, Susan Smith. I want to do this real quick, if you don't mind.
Oh, where? Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Just because I agree, I think it gives validation to Nina's claims about the family. The Nina stuff. I actually just started watching the last week or so, and so I it's not really a red flag. I'm getting off topic a little, but I'm just I'll try to be fast about it. So Nina makes these claims about how she lost the baby and everything that happened, and how she slapped them. Basically, they use that as a way to get that order against her, and the bat incident on the porch and everything. Well, when Chris, I was listening to a later interview when he was asked about that incident, he actually didn't really deny the story. He just kind of gave, talking about, he focused on the things he wanted to focus on, like the slap part. But he didn't deny the part where he lied about leaving town, or that the incident with Terry happened, or the underhanded way in which they got the baby away from her and all that stuff. So it was interesting to me that he didn't really deny it. He just focused on the slap, which is it's just sort of a deceptive move, get somebody to focus on on that part because you don't want to focus on what actually happened. So I tend to believe Nina's characterization of that family. Okay, Wine Time says it's CJ Crime Stories. I'm not sure if I know that one.
We'll have to check that out. And then, Tit for Tat is, kind of saying they want to see all the other claims, tire/police reports of death threats on both sides.
Yeah.
And I agree 100%. I agree.
Well, and the posters, I believe, did you all verify that the posters have been taken down? There were people in the neighborhood verifying it.
I believe the car guy, I don't think he watches our show. I think that's who was saying that he checked it out, and he lives on that side of town. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. So he drove through there and saw the sign gone?
They're all gone. Yeah.
That's my understanding. Yeah.
Well, they say though that with those light poles, that supposedly that's against the law or whatever, and that they'll take them down. But that was pretty fast if they did it. It's a lot of work to take down all those signs. If
yeah.
So, but maybe they did. Maybe they.
We suggested maybe doing a trail camera. No.
I know some of those real estate kind of signs are still out there, like on Long Hollow, because we drove by that.
Oh.
But we didn't go into the neighborhood.
Has a good question here too. Sorry, I Tit for Tat. I'm like favoring you. I don't mean to. I really like your new picture though.
Mr. Ian Aunt E is Sam's Club in the center of town where people could easily run into each other. Is that the main gas station in town?
No.
Mm-mm.
No, you wouldn't go there for gas. It would be the closest.
You wouldn't. I would go out of my way to go there for gas.
It's further out than we do from Sam's.
Oh, I'm just saying, I would go there because they're less expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of in a congested area. It's right next to Texas Roadhouse.
Right.
It's a
heavily trafficked area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not an area I would go to get gas. I was just kidding about them. I like to tease
very busy area.
It's very busy. I would probably go somewhere else and pay the extra couple pennies.
I'm not exactly sure their neighborhood, but it's about 30 minutes, right? That kind of side of Gallatin they're on.
I think it's
probably a 30-minute drive for him to get over there. So, but it would be the closest Sam's Club for him.
Right. So if you were already shopping in the area, yeah.
Yeah. So if he were shopping there for that purpose, then maybe. But he did, according to that receipt, go all the 30 minutes for 4 items. Maybe. I don't know. That's what the receipt said, right? 4 items.
It said 4 items.
I don't know.
I did compare it to our Sam's receipt, and it was, you know, I was looking at it on a phone. I didn't look at it on a computer. So, let's see.
I don't even know. I'm sorry, I sidetracked this. I think with all of
that.
Because I that the fear for me for the reporters. I don't want to see these reporters getting hurt.
Sorry. So that is really funny.
So the real Me Too says Terry went to get a receipt to try and cover himself. In my opinion, who goes in Sam's Club and buys just a box of crackers? Is that what it was? Was it a box of crackers? I just saw that it said.
Well, I thought it said 4 items, but here's the question:
4 items, a half-hour trip to go buy 4 items.
Wait. Okay, so wait. If there's a time on the receipt, can we not see when it was?
Yeah, it says like 3. I think.
Like when exactly was she be able to determine the time versus that? Because she was live.
You could, but I mean, the thing is
it worth it?
It doesn't matter because we have the video evidence of what he did.
Right.
If he went in the store or not, it doesn't matter. We can see with our own eyes, but people are totally trying to gaslight on that. And want you to deny what you've seen with your own eyes. There's no denying what we saw.
Oh my gosh. The real Me Too. That's awesome.
Seth is going to do a live this Saturday. Oh, good. Bullhorn Betty will be joining Seth. We'll be answering questions. I can email you the link, Mr. E, if you need it.
Please do.
Awesome.
And then also, Lana said that Terry Lynn bought a bunch of yard signs, and we have seen them. She's got them out there for sure. And she checked. Yeah, she paid a lot to get them. Those are expensive. We know.
You know, I know it's still unbelievable to me, but there are still people that think that Seth had some hand in it. It makes no sense to me at all. But, you know, the signs that we got through Betty were from Seth.
Yeah.
Like they were his signs that he had made. So when people are saying, oh, well, he's not doing anything. He's making signs and he's sending out flyers and having them dispersed all over the county through Betty and by extension, us and other volunteers and other YouTubers that she met with while she was here. He is doing something. So I know I don't know. I hope, I hope,
yes, he did.
I hope that cools down because he shouldn't be getting that kind of heat.
Yes.
But at any rate, I didn't mean for it to go on a big tangent like that. But I do find that suspicious that everybody's so angry that people, which also leads to my other one about the YouTubers making money and how they're all upset about the YouTubers making money. And we talked about that extensively today.
Yeah.
But that doesn't have to be on my list. But I guess that's number 4 for me. So we're going to go back around. And also I see Truth Seeker is here. Thanks for coming, Truth Seeker. And Lisa B. Always. I don't know if I've seen you here before, but we appreciate you. I am Bear. I see you. Kate. Oss.
Yeah, a lot of people have joined on here since we started tonight. So thanks for catching up with us. If you're new to this discussion tonight, essentially what we're going through is the big red flags for us for Katie and Chris.
We're kind of we've made our list.
Because what we have done over time is we've gone through all of the different scenarios, and what we believe is that everything eventually that we've eliminated, like Seth as a suspect or the runaway situation and all these other theories that are out there, him being at a at a center and all that kind of thing, that we think everything ultimately points toward Katie and Chris having guilty knowledge. And so that everything is there. And so, I think we kind of get distracted with the Uncle Tacos of the world and different things. So we just kind of wanted to refocus, because as our show goes forward at this point, unless there is brand new information that says something contrary, we're going to be honing in on the Proudfoots as where all the answers lie. And we wanted to kind of remind ourselves and our audience why that is, because we don't want to be unfair to the Proudfoots, because anyone that loses a child, I know everybody kind of looks at the parents first. It's not fair. It's awful. We're hesitant to do it. But we wouldn't be having these discussions if it weren't for these tons of red flags from the family. And you can't deny the evidence, I don't think, that's in front of you. I think it's glaring. We've done tip of the iceberg tonight. And it's so much that it's undeniable that no reasonable person could overlook the Proudfoots at this point. You have to at least give them a hard look, I think, on why Sebastian's not here. Whether you think he was hidden away somewhere or unalived, we don't know, or if they have knowledge of someone that did. I don't know, but they know something. So I'm going to go to my number 5.
Can I say this real quick, Karen? This is a good point. I wondered about that too.
Sure. Karen McIntyre. Hi, Karen. I think it's odd how people on different channels have mentioned how other cases are overlapping with this one. Were they TC fans?
True crime.
Oh, yeah. Well,
like there's stuff that's similar. Yeah.
I know that Chris is aware of the Summer Wells stuff. I just don't know when he became aware of it.
Right. It could have been after. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know if he followed it back then or it's been new, because I could see that going either way. Like if you weren't a true crime fan before, I could see him almost becoming obsessed with other stories he's hearing about because of similar situations.
Well, I mean, could they be looking into it, trying to figure out the best ways to, not what you think.
Oh, I thought that's what you were about
to
say.
I was going to say the best ways to, try to help, the resources to help find him. Not what you think.
Oh.
Not what you think.
Yeah, that's not where I thought you were going.
Yeah, I know. I also want to say hi to Coffee Bar Lady. She's a new subscriber and she says hello to everyone. And I want to let her know that we appreciate her and that welcome, because every time I go into people's chats, nobody will talk to me, and because nobody knows me. So I want to acknowledge new people so that they feel welcome and wanted. So Coffee
Bar Lady. We've got some great
Grammar
names.
Police, love you.
Welcome back, Grammar Police. So here my number 5, and I've seen it mentioned 2 or 3 times already. The CPS cases. So Monique here, McMillan, she did it, and I think Wine Time and a few others. You want to do that?
Okay, wait just a second. I want to say Truth Seeker says I agree. It's important to filter the distractions and get back to the basics. Exactly. That's kind of what that's going to have been our approach. And then I'll go with we've got a Wine Time. Okay.
Yeah, so Wine Time said this also.
All right.
Thank you, Wine Time.
Thank you, Wine Time. You didn't have to do that.
Yeah, you didn't have to do that. CPS and dates that everything happened court case. Yeah, so my number 5 was what a few of you have mentioned, and that's the CPS cases. So I think even if it were one CPS case, you might go, well, I don't know, sometimes there's a misunderstanding.
Is this yours?
This is my number 5. Yeah, the CPS cases. So one CPS case, you go, yeah, I don't know, maybe there's just kind of a misunderstanding with the school, or a neighbor reported something, a little nosy or whatever. But when you start having multiple CPS cases, that is a massive red flag. There is something going on in this child's life that's not right. And the part that's frustrating or sad to me is that, the parents always say he's making stuff up, call him a liar, and he can't defend himself. He can't speak for himself anymore. And all this stuff is sealed, and I get why they do that, but he's not here right now. And someone failed him, and he was shouting to everybody that would listen to help him for years. We don't even know how many CPS reports there are at this point. And he was he's begging for help. And I don't understand. I guess I do understand, but I don't understand. We keep these things private because we're trying to protect the child, but the child's missing. So we've already failed him. So let's see what's in the police report or in the CPS reports. Let's see where did he drop the ball exactly? Because his privacy at this point is almost not even the number one concern. Mm-hmm. What's going on in the CPS reports? Who was hurting him? What was he saying? What monsters have been in and out of his life, whether it was in his home or school or next door? We don't know what he was reporting. He can't speak for himself. He's either abducted or not with us. And it's all in August to stay privacy. I get it kind of, but I'm frustrated with it. Anyway, regardless, having that many CPS reports surrounding the family is a massive red flag. And on a second kind of note, and at first we didn't know, or I didn't know in the first few days, that it was the stepfather that wasn't like publicly talked about was in the home. And when you go statistics, when you have CPS reports and it's a stepfather in the home, those that coupled together is a massive red flag. And he's a special needs child, and special needs children are much more stressful. We know it'll teach you lessons in patience you didn't even know you had. And so
true.
You've got a bad-tempered stepfather in the home, and there's CPS reports everywhere. It's a red flag, and they may not like it. They might even be innocent, but it's a red flag. I don't know. I'm fired up tonight a little bit.
You
about
are.
all this.
I know.
So
I know you feel passionate about that.
I do. I think I'm in a hard place with Sebastian right now. I'm hurting about him a little bit.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. So let's go to Auntie.
I was gonna say you're tearing up like I do with the super chats.
Yeah. And Truth Seeker said most families never have interaction with CPS, let alone multiple times. That's a huge
great
thing.
point.
Yeah.
Actually, another creator said that once. And real quick, I'm going to share everybody. Look, I didn't know if you members knew, but if you're a member, you have these crazy emojis that I put in there for you. I just saw them. They're really funny. Oh, does it show up on there? I don't know. Does it show up if I do it? All right.
And Soggy Cheetos, thank you. It says, I'm new here, and this pod reminds me of the interview room with Chris McDonough because it's point making and no drama, making fun of other creators. Thank you so much.
We don't.
That's a huge compliment. I love that guy. He's great. So thank you so much. That's very nice.
I think our general thing is that there's room for everybody, and everybody has their own audience. And, if you've got, we were here when we had Adrian, just one person that would watch us. And now we have all you guys.
And Adrian's not been around in like 4 or 5 episodes.
I think we ran Adrian off, which is too bad but Adrian would come and watch. And, but my point is that there's somebody for everybody, and there's room for everybody here, and there's no reason to do those things. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
I did see Maui Girl. She's back. Hi, Maui Girl.
Hi, Maui Girl. Hi. Let's see. All right. Let's see. All right. It didn't show. Okay, on my end, it shows on the YouTube. I don't know what it looks like.
I don't know what that is. Cuff, liar, magnified detective.
It's the name of the emojis. If you look at on the other thing, it shows them, but on here it just shows up weird. Okay. Oh, let's see. And everybody, I had Olivia put her channel back in the chat, so. I wanted everybody that has not subscribed to Olivia, please subscribe to her. She's got some great videos out, and she's going to be going live soon.
Man, the chat's on fire tonight.
Yes.
Well, I bet that's hard to keep up with, but that's great. We'll have to go back and read all this later.
We are good I promise, guys, we're almost through with ours, and then we're going to start like going in on all of your red flags. So
I'm done with my top 5. So
okay, Anthony, it's your turn.
You want to do your last?
This one's maybe a not so popular one. But just the fact that Chris called a non-emergency sheriff's line, and not the mom that discovered the child missing, but the stepfather who is in Memphis is calling the sheriff locally. I just thought that was a little odd and kind of a red flag with the way it was handled. I felt like there was some reason behind Chris making the call instead of Katie.
Yeah.
It was a red flag to me.
Yeah, I didn't write that one down either. That's great, though. Because a lot of reasons. I was listening to there's another YouTuber, Clutch Them Pearls.
Yeah,
right.
We just started listening yesterday.
Yeah. So he was someone I hadn't listened to, but so I've listened to a couple of his now. And something he was saying, I think he's local, right? He's from the area. Maybe not. I might be wrong about that. I got the impression, but I don't know where he is.
If he's from the area or not. I've listened to him a couple times, but I don't know if he's in the area or not.
I don't know. I haven't listened to enough of him to know, but he made a point tonight. Something that and I had heard this before, but that when you call the sheriff's office, they reroute you back to 911. And so if his argument was to save time going directly to the sheriff, then they have to send you to that 911 dispatch anyway. So it actually takes longer by them not calling 911. So, I don't know.
And I don't think it was dispatched that way. I don't think it was dispatched back to 911 when he called there. I think he called and asked for someone because then I know there was a 3-way call with her included in the phone call.
Yeah, I think, but that's to the sheriff's office, right?
Yeah, but I don't know that it was dispatched to 911. Like, I don't know if he got transferred to 911. I think he talked to someone at the sheriff's office.
That's what Clutch the Pearls was saying. And I had seen another neighbor over there posting about it saying, hey, I just want to clear something up. And that's what he said too. He said, if you call 911, they'll be there in like 5 or 8 minutes is how he said it. He goes, but if you call the sheriff's office, they're just going to have to send you back to 911 anyway and reroute you. So to save time, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know that that's the case, but the reason I mentioned it was because I had read that from that one neighbor, and Clutch the Pearls said that tonight also. So it's like at least 2 people that I think are local are saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it just kind of
never had to call, so we don't know.
We
luckily, thank goodness.
Fire. Or I thought
no, that was in Davidson County.
Well, they went off here one time, and I thought there might be a fire.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. It was weird.
It was a false alarm, but
I started going fire.
But they were here like that,
I forgot about that.
And then yes, the 3-way call. Was she even on the call? There's this stuff about he had to tell her to go back to the house. Why did he have to tell her to go back to the house? If she was on the call, she should have already known. There's weird stuff about yeah, it's a good one, Auntie.
I don't know. I just thought it was really weird.
All right. I want to share something really quick. I know I'm stopping the train of thought here, but you all, I just realized that I can gift memberships.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I am going to give 5 memberships away right now. Let's see who gets them.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
I did not know that this was a feature that I could do.
So you can do 10 a month, it says.
Yeah, I'm going to save some more for the future.
Yeah.
So Lana H, Karen Sharp. Let's see who got them. R. Taylor, Share Bear Don't Care.
Yeah. Okay,
all right. Cool. And Country Guy, enjoying your free memberships.
Oh, that's good.
I just thought that was fun.
Yeah, that's
I didn't
fun.
know I could do that.
That's nice.
This is what,
Look at you.
This is what happens when you don't understand what you're doing.
So,
welcome.
Mrs. E, do you want to do your final on the list? And then we'll kind of see what the chat thinks we've missed that are major.
You all, there's so many.
We can still do some if, but these are our 5, like our top 5. And then I'm sure, I know there's going to be some they're going to mention.
Are we going...
And I didn't make a top 5. I just picked 5 that I thought were kind of not the ones that would be right off the top of your head, top 5. Not the glaring, like the shoes. The shoes is like...
Well,
yeah, I know. I took the obvious one, but I've been so obsessed on the shoes part that I figured I'll do the shoes. I'll talk about that.
Gosh, I've got so many. I feel like I've wasted some of mine.
It's okay. It's not like
I know, but it's such a great topic. And I've got so many. Okay. Okay, I'll stop. I'll just pick one.
You've got good ones there.
I know, but I don't know which one is the best. Like, I'm afraid that's going to cause a lot of controversy. Because that one bugs me.
That's glaring.
No, I like this one. But I don't want people to think I'm stupid because this one really gets me.
Oh, well, I think that's fine. I think that was a big one.
I'm just going to go with a biggie. I'm going with a biggie.
Okay.
The flashlight video.
The flashlight.
I mean,
yeah,
if that's not the biggest red flag there is,
That was on my list. I just didn't do that one because it was so obvious.
Well, I had to choose from that or the hand video. The hand video bugs me.
Well, that's a good one too.
Yeah, that one's weird. And there's others, but maybe we'll have to do a part 2 because everybody seems to like this.
Well, and I've got enough to make a part 2. I've got plenty.
Explain why the hand video or why the flashlight video. So what's your reasoning?
Well,
you're away from the mic a bit.
I will tell you that. Sorry, I keep scooting away. When Nick Barris first started talking about the flashlights, I remember getting in bed going, "Oh my gosh, they have found activity outside of Sebastian's house that night."
Right.
And and as the days went on, I mean, I was just like, this is it. They figured it out. As the days went on, Nick came back, and Ellie saying, different things about the flashlights. And so I kind of dismissed it, to be honest. I did. Yeah. Because it's a trash. Everybody,
I did
Chris
too,
is like, it's a trash truck, or Seth or Ellie told Seth it was a trash truck or whatever.
They both said it. Yeah.
So I just dismissed it until the full, or the larger, I don't even think it's the full, the larger version of the flashlight video came out where it was zoomed out. And then I was just like, oh. And then there's, and then
the movement. I mean, you can see the movement. And I think that was what was the clincher.
And then Bobby coming out saying, well, the trash trucks don't come until 5 or 5:30. And this was, they think between 3 and 3:30. They said that the clock was stuck on it, but that one really bothers me. So I think that's my, I know that there's mixed emotions about it. There are people that are, that's bogus. Oh, it's not. And everybody has a right to their opinion. We don't know. We don't know.
Are there a lot of people?
There are people that think it's bogus. There are for sure.
Oh.
But
after watching it, I can't see how you can argue that it's bogus.
I don't know.
Tit for tat is my new best friend. There are no wrong red flags. LOL. Thank you.
They pile up. So, I guess in the flashlight video, you could call that also part of the car video because it's the same video, right?
Oh,
catching the car.
Well, wait, did
car?
Oh, did someone say that? Did one of you guys say that?
No. I'm just saying, would that be part of that same category?
Ooh. Oh, they're already jumping into theirs. They're like, move on.
Let's go.
Scoot over, ease. We want to get ours. Tell them what to do.
Yeah, you give the number one red flag.
Give your number one red flag in the chat.
I'm sure there are some we have not thought about.
If you need to step away, you can. All right, wine time. I just saw a good one from you. Where was it? The light going back to the house. Ooh. Okay, so guys, this is your chance to come in and tell us your number one red flag.
And if we don't see any, we'll just go to our 6th and 7th, and that's okay.
Yeah, we've got more. We've got
quite a list here, and it's hard to pick. I mean, like you were saying, the hands video.
Ooh,
it's crazy.
Truth Seeker.
Truth Seeker says it was also strange the time on the video was stuck. I wonder if they did that on purpose as to not give away top notch much. Oh,
I think Bobby said that the lady said that whose camera it was from, that their time was messed up on that camera. So yeah, I don't think it was frozen. They said the time was wrong because it wasn't working correctly.
What's hard, I believe Bobby, like, I don't think Bobby's like a deceitful person at all. I believe that she believes what she's saying is true.
Right.
But she could get something wrong.
But she did definitely believe what she said. You could tell she had conviction in what she believed.
Now, but if somebody else told her wrong information, she might just believe it, But I think she was a truth teller. That's interesting, though. You could be right. Let's see. Hilda says, if the CPS was called on Sebastian, why didn't they remove the child from that home?
Great question.
And that goes back to knowing a lot about CPS and the process. And it takes a lot for a child to be removed. It takes multiple accounts. It takes an investigation. And it takes many, 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 many days of working on a case. I've known that so many times. And the absolute last result is usually the kid getting removed from the home. So it doesn't happen as easily as you think it should or could. It doesn't actually happen very often.
Yeah, and in a way, I understand it. I mean, it shouldn't be something you do lightly, taking a child from the parents. That's why I'm so frustrated with the way the system is, where now that we know the kid's been failed massively, right? Now it's over. The CPS secrecy doesn't matter anymore. We should be able to see. Or am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. Shouldn't we be able to see what was alleged and see what should he have been pulled out or more been done? We can't. It's like we can't review the process because everything's done in secret.
With him being a minor, they can't release that information.
No,
I know that's the way the system's set up, but should it be that way?
Well, I think
it protects the child.
But he's not now. It's too late.
No, but their belief is that, by allowing those records to be sealed, just like an arrest record, like a child that's arrested. If a child's arrested, you can't see that arrest record. You don't know what happened. It's a double-edged sword. It protects them in one way, but it doesn't protect them in another.
And I know, like intellectually, I know you're right. I know you're right.
Right.
I know you're right. It's just,
but he's questioning
emotionally.
He's questioning the man.
I don't like it. I just don't like it.
Right. I get
it.
Even
though I know it's the truth. You're right. I just don't like it.
Okay, I did want to point out that this is Karen McIntyre's apparently her number one red flag.
Oh, okay.
And you're gonna laugh because of what I did today.
Okay. Karen McIntyre, the mannequin in the woods. Just kidding.
Karen, we drove by there today.
It is
we drove by the barn, and guess what I did? I took a picture just for you. So I'll be sending you that when I can.
If you don't know what we're talking about, there's a weird mannequin in the barn right outside their neighborhood. And I think when all these YouTubers and journalists first came into town, like, what's the deal with this mannequin in the barn? And he's just doing it to be funny. Whoever owns that barn just is being funny. They've got this mannequin like looking out at you on the highway.
Okay, Share Bear don't care.
She left. Nancy Grace interview. He stated he wasn't sure if he had a job anymore. Then she says she was accompanying him to work.
Right. There was conflicting information in that interview.
Her leaving the home is massive.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have to do a business thing. Aunt E, can you take over?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's a different business.
Okay.
Sorry.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Country guy says the search warrants for me were a red flag. Well, yes, they were. The search warrants, I'm assuming you're talking about for the garbage dump.
Oh, right.
Yeah. They were a red flag for sure.
Yeah, because you can't just get those unless you've got a reason.
Right.
So they would have had to have presented some kind of evidence to a judge. I'm guessing that's kind of what you're getting at there, country guys, that a judge had to sign off on it, so they wouldn't just do that willy-nilly.
Right. And we had one time gave us a super chat going back to the house. I agree. I think she's talking about when Katie had to go back to the house for law enforcement to come. That was odd. If that's what you're talking about, let me know if I'm on the right track. Her going back to the house.
Is that what you mean, that she had been away from the house during that 911 call or the emergency call?
I don't know. If you don't care to, Seth didn't even know until recently. Seth should have known. I'm trying to read what she said. I think that's what she's talking about.
Oh, yeah, this is great here. Let me do this real quick. This is a good one. Diane Kelly, Katie and Chris Proudfoot not out looking ever, and you would be when your child goes missing.
Yeah, big one.
And they'll say they're searching, but there's no. The only time that I can personally confirm that they ever searched was Chris rode with Seth in the car once looking for Sebastian.
That's
the only time. That's the only time I know for certain that they did anything that would. And their excuse on that, of course, is that they were told not to leave the house, which of course they ignored 3 weeks later. But they were told not to leave. Yeah, they were told not to leave the house, so that's their excuse. But one of them could have stayed. And then they say, well, they told us not to search because, let the professionals do the work. But that would not stop you from going door to door and knocking on doors and alerting people, going to the stores and saying, hey, have you seen my kid? Anything. It doesn't mean you have to go through the woods.
Right.
You could be searching publicly accessible places. And
from my understanding, they didn't even go door to door in their own neighborhood.
No, I don't think they did. And I know this is kind of like small, but along those lines, they have that Facebook group, like a neighborhood. Everybody's probably got these, a neighborhood Facebook group, where you just share info. And they posted one single time on that Facebook group.
One single statement.
Right. You're not giving updates. You're not saying, thank you for pass my son's information around, please. Has anybody seen anything? Please. Nothing. No pleading. That it's just, yeah.
Tip for Tat says, I can't pick just one, but Katie's changing accent and both of them changing their stories. And I think what she's talking about, one in the interview I was talking about earlier, she even has her voice and tone and inflection. She's almost like she changes to a Southern Belle accent for a couple of statements. And it's really weird. And then also the interviews, if you go back and watch them, they're changing stories and how it's almost like it's scripted. So I get that tip for Tat. I agree with you on there. That was one of the ones I actually had on my list that I felt like was definitely noteworthy, is all the changes in their stories along the timeline of what happened.
Yeah. The one that gets me that I was thinking about today is the part about the thud. And we sort of talked about the thud. But when she first tells the story, her original version is that he says the love you puppies, love you mama, goes to bed around 9 o'clock, right? And then, the next thing she's looking for him at 6 and he's gone. But then when she later adds the thud, and there's all these different versions of her saying things like, oh, what's going on up there? Go to bed. Okay, mom, whatever, these different exchanges she's added to the story. That is so unbelievable to me, because if you think of when you've ever lost, like if you lost somebody you loved, like they passed away or anything, like you remember the last day you saw them or the last, conversation, like the last time you saw them. And so if you can imagine that you're in if she's innocent and doesn't, and he truly disappeared on her, you're retelling that story. And you don't mention the last moment and time that you talked to your son, you leave that out of the original versions. The most important part would be to understand the last time you knew that he was in the house. That's the most important.
That last contact.
Yeah, that's the most important imaginable detail, is when is the last time you talked to him? And she skips that the first few times. That's crazy to me. That's why I don't think. I just don't believe that whole 9 to midnight is so full of problems, but that bothers me. It's in a similar way. It's why I don't believe the Chris Proudfoot belt story, because I think because he says he hit him one time with the belt, and he changes that story. Sometimes he's 15 years old. Sometimes it's over 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. That's another story that changes. But imagine if you had only one time in your life whipped the belt, and you don't remember all the details about it, right? You would, if you had hit your child with a belt 50 times, sure, you probably wouldn't remember all the different punishments or reasons why that happened. But he does it once, and he can't even remember the details about why. Oh, I don't know why he lied.
I think he says he was lying.
Yeah, but he couldn't specify exactly why.
Yeah, he didn't remember what it was about. But he was lying.
I'm a little behind. Did you already talk about Joe's?
No, we have not.
I don't know.
Okay.
Joe Johnson. The biggest red flag for me is between the car lights video and the search warrant to search a landfill. So the car lights, man, that's the one where we were watching that on the back porch when I think you shouted something like, yeah, like an gasp.
And I don't do that.
She doesn't react that way. But when those lights came on, you saw the outline of that car. Oh my goodness, did that make the story a whole other level?
And this is a good one too.
Yeah, that was big. Sergeant King, number one, mother not pulling.
Number one,
mother not pulling about his medication as 911.
Like putting out his medication.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's urgent about the medicine, because, they're going to go through some serious withdrawals when you pull them off this kind of meds. Merge. My number one red flag. Why didn't they talk to Seth before calling law enforcement?
I go back and forth on that rationalization. I have more problems with, and that was one of the ones that's a red flag to me, is when Chris says, "Hey, don't be mad, but Sebastian's missing." You just don't make that statement in that manner. But I could see make a play for calling him, but also calling law enforcement first. They can get there quicker.
Well, I think maybe Merge is referring to maybe checking with Seth to see if he has him.
Right.
Have you talked to Sebastian?
Right.
Like, has he texted you? Has he called you? Or is he with you? Anything like that, right?
Okay. And then
and of course, I think everybody probably is already realizes the problem. They just assumed that Seth didn't know anything.
Right.
When they don't know that Seth, if they're innocent, they don't know that Seth doesn't know anything.
Right.
If there's one person that Sebastian might have contacted after leaving the house, it would be Seth. And they don't even ask. They just assume he doesn't know.
Drusilla's got a good one.
Drusilla Clark. Chris is in charge of the narrative. He was supposed to be at work, yet he knows every detail.
Yes. Red flag. That's a big red flag. That's a good one. And then wine time, I guess we missed this. Going back to the house.
No, we did that one. We did that one.
Oh, good. I missed it.
Here's a good one.
Breezy is crushing on. The Sandman says Katie leaving to run around the school instead of her checking around the neighborhood first. Yeah.
Yes.
Didn't even drive up the street. Didn't ask any of the. Yeah. Katie's a red flag. Katie is a big red flag.
Katie.
The rocking.
That's on my list. The rocking. I actually have that video queued up because the rocking really bothered me because.
The laughter.
Yeah. Uncomfortable laughter. Yeah. Lisa be always. That's a good one. This is a good one.
The best part of Sebastian being missing is he left no evidence. Chris Proudfoot quote.
That's true.
It is.
Got some great Chris. It's like we could spend a whole night on some of his quotes and statements.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's a walking red. Like every time he does an interview, there's multiple red flags.
And Karen, this is actually, let's see, that was my fifth on. Like when I was writing out the list, my fifth before I started numbering. Chris saying that we will be talking about this case for years to come. It bothers me. It bothers me too.
Yes, that's a big one.
Oh, Truth Seeker's got a good one.
Spooky almost to me, honestly.
I mean, these are all great. You guys are so smart.
Number one red flag is absolutely no ring footage of Sebastian anywhere in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I mean, once you drive over there, there's so many of those ring cameras over there. And not even just the ring cameras. There's like the good ones that are like on the side of your house.
But to be fair,
there's some of those too.
We weren't there right away, and maybe people added some later.
Yeah.
So,
but
we never know. There's enough to have caught something
because they've seen us drive through the neighborhood a couple of times, and they decide to heighten their security. Doreen, Andrew, the movement of the flashlights was in between the houses in the common area and not on the street. So there's no way it could be a trash truck. Yeah, definitely not a trash truck.
Well, and that kind of leads you to LE being a red flag. The fact that they're not telling the truth and they're dismissing things that are already out in common knowledge in these videos. I mean, that's kind of suspicious too. Do
you mean in the way that you think maybe they're covering? Because that is a theory out there. There are people that think that maybe law enforcement
it could be suspect either way. Either they're covering or they're hiding that information. They want that information to kind of go away, and if they're building a case.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And Karen says, my number one is the mom leaving the home he would go back to. So that's one definitely for me. And
I bet any mom
I don't know what that
cannot
means.
dream of leaving that home in
505.
The 505. I'm not sure what that means. Camouflage, can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean there?
Is that like the 1202?
No.
Just saying. Just saying.
Just saying.
I'm not checking that timestamp.
And Sergeant King, it's my understanding he was not getting SSI, but I believe that Seth has stated that.
Yes.
Let's see.
Diane says the lights were not a trash truck, as truck comes at 5:30 and the other lights are around 3 a.m.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
okay.
Yeah, it would have been kind of getting light around 5:30 there.
Karen says leaving for 17 hours.
Yeah.
That was mine.
Karen's on Team Aunt E. And the real Me Too says my biggest red flag is that CP and KP or KP and CP lack of concern, urgency, and disrespectful remarks about Sebastian that were unnecessary.
I've got one of along these lines. Another question I kind of have for the group, if you can remember, Katie says that her suspicion is that he's been abducted. That's what she said at one point, that's what she thinks has happened. Can anyone recall her ever pleading for the kidnapper to release her son?
Oh, no.
I don't know that that's ever I've never heard that. And most of the time, they spend most of their time just trying to clear their names. They only really, can't say only because there have been a few times, but most of the time, if they even talk about rallying the neighbors to put out flyers or whatever, it's usually after they've been prompted by whoever's interviewing them. It's very rarely do they actually say on their own, hey, let's get up there and search this weekend, or if you need flyers, come by. We'll meet you here. We'll have 100 flyers for you.
Right.
They never, they never do that stuff.
No.
Nothing like that, that you would expect.
Go ahead, Aunt.
Karen had this was probably one of my it was on my list too.
Yeah, me too.
Katie shoving the phone in Seth's face that morning, showing him a picture of Sebastian at Costco, and she's saying, see, he was happy. He was having fun, or something to that effect. And I thought that was a big red flag. Sure. That was one of my.
And that was another thing that bothered me. There's something that Seth had said about the Bauer socks, about Kathy talking about jewelry and trips and things when there's a child missing. That really bugged me. But that was a more recent kind of piling on to the red flags for me.
Well, we haven't even talked about the day of fun.
I know. I'm sure somebody's going to have that.
The day of fun.
I'm just trying to get through this because we ask everybody their opinion, and I want them to give it.
Ginger Girl says, why would Katie not want Sebastian to go live with Seth? Is it because Sebastian would tell his dad about the CPS reports?
Good question.
I think that's a good theory.
Ooh. What are the odds that Ellie followed Chris back to Memphis? That's a good.
Man, you better hope they did. Or
that kind of leads to them allowing him to leave to go get the trailer. They had to, that had to be approved, and they just let him leave.
Well, hopefully
they didn't just let him leave.
This was after at least that Wednesday, according to Seth. So you've got Sebastian goes missing on Monday. Seth is around Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And in the interview I recall, he said that Chris left sometime after that. So we're into at least day 3. So they should be very suspicious at that point about the Proudfoots. Maybe not that first day. And even then they probably should have been. But by day 3, surely they were not just going to let him go run loose across the state without being monitored. I would hope that he had some tails and trackers on his vehicle and all of that. I hope he was being watched, but I don't. If he was loose and he wasn't being monitored, that's a big fail on their part.
Big fail.
Yeah.
Let's hear Olivia's.
Oh, yeah, Olivia. Chris saying if someone were to come to the front door, they would be seen on camera in the same breath saying Sebastian walked out the front door.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was on my list. Yes.
That is why I'm sometimes I feel hopeful that they're going to get caught, whoever did this, because these people are not the brightest. They make a lot of mistakes and they get tripped up in their lies. And they've made so many mistakes already, this whole crew and whatever they think they're doing. It makes me wonder, it makes me hopeful that they did not pull off some perfect crime here, in my opinion, of course.
I just want to acknowledge Sandy. Sandy says, hi, I don't live there. So is it okay if I subscribe? Of course it's okay if you subscribe. We welcome everyone here. My son has autism and I never watched a child's disappearance this closely. I'm totally heartbroken. I'm with you, Sandy. I have not ever watched a child's case this closely. I think John Bonet, maybe not, but not to this extent. This wasn't even available back then. So, and then our buddy Tit for Tat says can't pick just one, but Katie changing accent and both of them changing their stories. Absolutely.
I guess I hadn't picked up on the accent thing.
Oh yeah.
I guess I think I do that. I think I pull out the more southern, when I need to.
We used we have family members that did that a lot.
I don't know. I probably do that too.
My grandmother would do that. She had different voices for different situations.
Yes, she did.
If I'm out in the country visiting people, my southern accent will come out more than if I'm here.
Right.
It does, yeah. I throw out a few more y'alls when I'm out in the country for sure.
All right. Let's see. I'm really behind on chat, guys. I apologize.
Zoots and Boots says demure denotes intelligence. Either Katie is too dumb or too deceptive, but definitely not honest or authentic. She's a woman who cheated on Seth with a guy cheating on his fourth marriage, a loser chick. Good one. That's a good one.
That was pretty good.
That's interesting. I'm just kind of thinking on that.
Let's see. I'm trying to do red flags, guys. I'm not ignoring your comments. All of your comments are very valid and interesting. I'm just trying to do red flags. Let's see.
There's so many.
I'm trying to do ones we have not already said.
Here's a good one.
Okay.
Hang on.
Oh, see, that's the one he was telling me to talk about.
Yeah. Well, and it was not just one fun day. It was kind of a weekend of fun. So it was really 2 fun days.
When I first started thinking that Sebastian was not with us anymore, I was really leaning towards it being like a rage, like she hit him and then he fell or something like that.
That was what you were imagining?
Something like that is kind of what I thought. And then it was all a cover up. But the fun-filled day, it really makes you happy.
The day of fun.
Yeah, the strike and spare, the steak restaurant.
The spaghetti pancakes.
Right. And which interview did we hear that in? I hadn't even heard that.
That was
before.
in the Second Duchess.
Second Duchess too. So we just hadn't paid much attention to that one. Yeah, but she goes out of her way to talk about how much fun he had that day. And it's such a red flag because it's so common. It happens in that Madeline Soto case where they make sure she's got a super weekend also. And it happens, these things.
We don't know what
Well, we know she's not here anymore and the dad's being charged.
No, he's not the dad. He's the boyfriend.
Yeah, the
boyfriend. Mom's boyfriend.
I don't know why I do that.
He keeps saying the dad because he lived there.
Right.
Yeah. I like this one.
Yeah. No vigils and moved interstate.
That's Miss Criminal Contemplation. I like your name. That's a pretty cool name.
Mm-hmm. He's given different rationalizations for not going to vigils. One time he was going through all the different vigils and he would have like different excuses. Like sometimes he would say, one time he was like, oh, well, it was when we were talking to law enforcement. Another time we couldn't go because of this. So we sent a representative. Like he had excuses. Then a different time his excuse is, well, vigils are only for people that have passed away, and we believe he's alive, so we don't go to vigils. So they've kind of given different explanations for that. Jen Cowell says, I know my child was missing, wouldn't stop looking.
Sorry. Wine Time was talking about the flashlights going back to the house.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a big
Yeah, it took me a little while to get on board with the flashlights, but I'm there now too.
Yeah, I think this is a good one.
Red flag, no update.
Sergeant, I hope you subscribe. I want to see you more often.
Yes,
I like you.
A red flag is there's not been any updates.
And then also,
I am to bear. Chris uses law enforcement as a scapegoat for everything. Yes, he does. Every tough question, he just, and you know that they're not asking him not to clear his own name.
I just want to say something.
It makes no sense when he uses that excuse. It makes no sense.
All right, I want to say this real quick. Joan says, watching from Westmoreland, Tennessee. I love your channel. No drama, just facts. I totally agree with your thoughts. Thank you, Joan. Welcome. We appreciate you.
Thank you. But if you have opinions different from ours, we're looking for truth here. So if we're wrong about something, we all want to be corrected. And if you have there's been several tonight, different people that have mentioned things I hadn't thought of before. We're looking to challenge ourselves on this case because we want to know where the truth is. The first interview is what Marcia says. Oh no, we'll do this one first. No visible footage of Sebastian taking out the garbage with the 24-hour floodlights on the garage.
And this is Lisa B. Always. Yes.
Yeah, Lisa B. Always.
Yeah, that's weird. That I hadn't thought about that.
They say it exists, right?
Yeah.
From what we've heard, it's just shadows, and you can't tell who it is.
Yeah.
I don't know who I heard talking about this, but
probably Seth.
No, well, Seth did say he saw it, but he couldn't confirm who it was.
Yeah.
Some other crime podcaster. I don't recall.
We really do devour this information so fast it's hard for us to keep up.
I try to listen to different people so that I'm not like influenced overly by any one person's thoughts. So I try to kind of jump around. Somebody was saying that when you do the video like that, and you've got as long as you've got the shape, that if you like FBI forensics on a video like that, they'll be able to tell you the weight of the person, the exact height. They'll be able to differentiate. Between,
maybe the lab
might be somebody like that they can they'll be able to differentiate between Katie and Sebastian because they're enough different in size to where they'll know, even if we don't know, they'll know who it was. Because there's some thoughts that what if it was Katie just throwing on a hoodie and looking like Sebastian, like if he didn't come home, like the Texas Roadhouse theory. But if he's even just so much as a shadowy figure, according to whoever I was listening to, they think through forensics they'll be able to tell if it's Sebastian or not.
Interesting.
So, I don't know. That's just.
And then Merge says Kathy's car at Worsham's at 5:45 a.m. allegedly.
Yeah,
that was on my list too, Kathy. I mean, to merge for Kathy's car. That was a big one for me.
So I don't know how. So the only source I know on Worsham's is Chloe.
Right.
Has one source.
Oh, I thought it was 6.
No, there was like 5 or 6 people.
Yeah, I know there are, but I don't know who reported those other 5. I know Chloe's one of those 5 people, or one of those 6 people. Who's reported the other 5? I hear the number said, but I don't know what the source is. So who's that coming from?
Well, if people know, put it in the chat.
Yeah, if you know, I'd love to know what the source is. The only one I know is Chloe's. One of the.
But I think Chloe talked to 5 or 6 people. I think she was the person saying she interviewed people that saw her there. That's what I thought.
So then that means we have to kind of see what we think about Chloe to whether or not we believe that or not.
Right.
If that's I see. I don't hear her mention one person in an interview once.
So I heard there was 5 or 6. So I guess that's something else we can dig into a little bit more.
Yeah, if anybody knows of the source of where this number of 6 people comes from, I don't know it. I just hear it mentioned a lot. That'd be great. I'd appreciate
I would to have a know it sheet, like a sheet of facts.
But like, if it's 6 different people talking to 6 different reporters, that would have a lot of weight. If it's just Chloe, who I don't know anything about,
right?
I don't know. It's more of a maybe she was there, maybe she wasn't.
Okay, I'm gonna. So, guys, what we're trying to do is if you're not just chatting with each other, do the red flag so that we know that that is your red flag. It makes it a lot easier to see because there's a lot going on and it's hard to keep up. And we're very behind on the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So,
are we?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's great. I mean, not great that we're behind,
No.
but I'm glad we're all finding value in this, and I like Rita just saying government secrecy is ruining this country.
Yes.
Oh, that one. That's a good one.
Amazing.
I assume you're kind of talking about me with the CPS, but I agree. I don't like secrets. Less secrets in general. But I just like the statement.
Go ahead, Auntie.
Lisa B always says lack of forensics at Proudfoot home, Sebastian's bedroom. We really don't know. We know they searched at least 10 times throughout the house, but we really don't know what forensics, if any, were done. That's not been released by law enforcement. So either there's a lack of forensics or they have not shared the results of the forensics.
Chris and Katie aren't going to tell you.
Well,
it's not like they're going to come out and say, "Oh yeah, they took a mattress and some blankets and are."
Oh,
they're not going to tell the truth about that.
Can we tell them what we were doing today?
Yeah.
Okay, so Auntie doesn't even know this. So I have a new theory, and I'm not going to tell the theory exactly, but my theory was if I were trying to hide a parcel in the area, if I were to come out of, let's say, a neighborhood in Hendersonville, staff that, basically if I was coming out of Chris and Katie's neighborhood and I wanted to hide something, where would I go? And so we took a drive today.
Stealthily.
Huh? Yeah, if you want to do it without being seen by cameras.
If you were going to be stealthy coming out of there, where do you go?
And we didn't go into the neighborhood or anything. We just kind of looked around at the different roads. So we find this really, really immediately rural road, not even a quarter of a mile from their house. And we follow it. And no joke, there was a mattress there today, like on the side of the road, like somebody had thrown out a whole giant mattress. And I was like, a mattress.
Like I almost ran over it.
He almost ran over it. Yes. It was crazy out in the middle.
So, for a split second, we're like,
should we go back?
Mattress.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway.
But that's not the same.
We were just kind of looking because I that's what I like. I have to visualize things. So anyway.
Yeah. So we're kind of playing with some
theories. Okay. So Melissa White Cotton says CP and his bite marks and scratches on his arms. And that was in the Holly Thompson interview. Yes. That was weird.
Yeah. He says it's the puppies, right?
Yeah. It's hard to tell.
Man, I've had a Siamese cat that didn't tear me up that bad.
Let's see.
And they scratch, but he did have a lot of
And
scratches.
Jen says the 3-hour phone call is sus to me, in my opinion. Absolutely.
Yes.
It's
weird.
Let's see.
It is weird.
Share Bear Don't Care says, what the heck are spaghetti pancakes?
I don't know. I don't know, but she acted like it was something special.
Yep. Not something she does every day.
Okay, I'm going to try to catch up because we're so behind.
He talked about
if we missed your comment, put your red flags back in here.
Chris thinking he broke the internet from Olivia. It's that ego, right? It's that ego of his.
Olivia, that's amazing.
I forgot about that.
That's funny.
That's good.
That's a good one. The Real Me Too says also KP saying it was a normal day.
Right. That is a thing. And they do that a lot.
It was a normal day.
Oh.
Yeah. It's one of those statement analysis red flag things. Rhonda says she's never had a full-on breakdown.
Well,
and that's a good
point.
Not
that we've seen.
The Holly Thompson interview was the only time really she got a little, like, she had a tissue and she held it to her face. But I mean, after that, she really had been more matter of fact and stoic and not really had any emotion.
No.
Let's see. And we already did Sergeant. Let's see.
There's one.
Oh.
Stephanie says, not using the most recent photo for the missing poster. Enjoying your content. Keep up the good work. Yeah, I thought that was odd. I thought that.
Well, I thought the optimism shirt though was from Costco.
Well, the poster, people were saying that it was an old picture on the poster. So I don't know, but I had heard that more than once.
That wasn't the first one though, was it? The first thing that
there
went
was
out.
One where he was young. He looked like about 10 years old.
Like the original one that we were like sharing on Facebook. I don't think it was the optimism picture.
I
might be wrong. I'll have to go back.
I don't know. I'm not going to argue with you guys on air. We'll just wait till we get off air. That's fine. Wine Time says Katie's silenced.
Yeah.
Lisa B always says no visible footage. We already talked about that.
I'm going to see if there's any on my list that we haven't talked about.
There's a lot. I just haven't gotten out.
Karen says CP and KP making fun and negative remarks about Sebastian.
And also that was Olivia. One of 49 parents talking badly about Sebastian, not focusing on the good things about him. Because that is something that when someone's gone, you tend to focus on the good things about them and not the bad.
Yeah. There's some, yes.
Karen McIntyre says, hi, Auntie. Let's see. Okay, we're really behind. I'm going to try to catch
Karen McIntyre says it's like a bingo card. It is like a bingo card.
Oh, my gosh. Now that you put that out there, somebody will have one made tomorrow. That's terrible.
That's a good statement, too. Texan says, when I woke him up, he wasn't there. That was one of the things.
You put that one up? Put that one up so everybody can see it.
Yeah, that was a weird statement.
That was a weird statement.
Well, for me on my list, I also put, I don't know why he walked out that door. That bothered me too.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of which person. It was maybe Deception Detective or Peter Hyatt or somebody else, or maybe both.
Merge says the hands interview. Yeah.
Somebody picked up on that weird statement about waking him up, and it's like when you phrase things so awkwardly like that, it can imply that what you're saying is fiction. And
from what I understand too, her bedroom was on the other side of the house, and his was on the other side of the kitchen. So she would have had to go through the kitchen to get to his room.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
But she says that she goes in his room to wake him up. He's not there. So she goes and looks in the kitchen to see if he's fixing breakfast. Well, if you had to come through the kitchen, wouldn't you have seen him in the kitchen?
Well, I actually go listen to the second Duchess interview. She actually talks about that sometimes he would hide. So, like when she was coming. So
she, she had heard that criticism and came up with her story is what it feels like.
Well, I don't know, but that was something.
She says it. She says, I looked around the house.
Feels.
Yeah. I mean, it just feels like they're just making up and filling in the gaps where they see holes in their story and making up stuff.
That's why the further we get away from that original interview, the harder it is to
determine
but that's why those first 2 or 3 are so important.
Oh, hey, Misty.
Misty
here.
Fisher. Chris making a random statement about buying or burying a body in cement. Chris Proudfoot's comment about the best thing is Sebastian didn't leave any evidence. Chris is stating that the young man in the pic from North Carolina was not Sebastian.
All of those things. Yeah.
We didn't talk about this North Carolina statement that he was certain. He shouldn't have been certain. He should have wondered just like everybody else because that kid did look a lot like him.
Well, Katie said she thought it was. So
I mean, with your head down and your hair in your face and hadn't seen him in a month or so.
We've been saying that we think Katie's the smartest of them all. Mm-hmm. So,
but talking about how to bury a body and it's just
Lisa B. got another good one.
Lack of forensics.
We did that one.
Oh, I missed it. Okay, did you do this one?
This is from B. Schiller. Red flag. Katie at the store so early in the Kathy
Bowersox.
Kathy Bauer sex at the store so early in the morning, putting on makeup or something like that, right next to the storage place.
Yeah, that's a big one.
But that that was something we talked about. You know, we needed to do some more investigation on that.
They haven't done any interviews, have they? Kathy, or Terry? They've made some Facebook posts that are weird here and there.
Oh,
that's a good one.
Katie stated in an interview, he is already. Oh yes. Oh, that is a good one. So what Teresa Wilson's talking about here, she was talking about Sebastian, and she goes, "Oh, by then," like she was talking about driving around beach or something, and she goes, "Well, he was already," and she does the throat thing.
That's
like
weird.
That gesture. Oh man, that
it
was
so bad. Eerie. It was so eerie.
Yeah, that's really bad. It was like, and she caught herself and stopped it, and
this is another good one from Glenda.
That kind of, those are the kinds of things that just add up, and it doesn't give me a lot of hope that he's still with us.
Sure.
I'd love to think he was, but I don't think he's with us. That kind of, one or two of these how many massive red flags have we done so far? It's got to be 60 or 70, right?
40, 50.
I mean,
that's why thus the name of the title, Red Flags Everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. If you had, like, you could come up with an excuse for 2 or 3 of these things, but man, it gets to a point where you can't deny what's looking you in the face.
We went.
They know something happened.
We went camping with a bunch of people, and we were trying to explain to them the story. They actually live in Middle Tennessee, but they're not as invested or know about this story the way we do. So we were trying to explain to them all of the things.
Yeah.
And they couldn't wrap their head around it because there was so much. There's so many we were trying to tell them about the red flags and the different things, and they couldn't even wrap their head around it. It was just so much. They just got overwhelmed.
Well, that's what Gina says in hers. The truth never changes.
Right.
And this story is ever evolving, changing constantly, even the stories that they're telling. So the truth doesn't change. And that right there is a red flag.
Do the Mark Twain quote. Do the Mark Twain quote. I love the Mark Twain quote.
What's the Mark Twain quote?
It's the quote that I love, that when you don't when you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got so many quotes.
Yeah. Misty is just saying hi to everybody, and her mom's in the hospital, and that's why she's late.
Oh, I read that somewhere.
Misty. Prayers to your mom.
Yeah, prayers to your mom, Misty. I'm still trying to find red flags.
I mean, there's just so many, it's not even funny.
I know you're ahead of me.
So how far behind are we on the
like really far?
Here's a wine time super chat.
Oh, that's okay. That maybe
you all are right in line with the facts.
Thank you, wine time. I adore you.
We have no ego about the being right or wrong. So we're wrong. Please let us know. We want to correct any mistakes that we make.
I got a good one.
Sarah B says, being in a bike shop,
not looking for your
kid. Yeah,
that's a good one.
See, this is where it's like it's just not smart.
Mm-hmm.
How do they not know not to go Harley shopping
in the middle of a vigil?
In a vigil.
What did I say? Vigil.
Vigil.
Sorry. It's a vigil.
That's how so many people pronounce it. I did not realize what a mispronounced word that was. It's probably just gotten into your subconscious.
Oh,
vigil.
I know it.
I know. I don't know why. I didn't realize it was such a mispronounced word until.
Well, you know what? What was it? I used to mispronounce all the time.
It's a Southern thing too. You're just adding more syllables.
We were brought up saying antenna. So
yeah, sure.
Instead of an antenna.
Maybe a vigil is a Southern. I don't know.
Vigil. No, it's a vigil.
It's a vigil.
Well, I used to say mischievous, and Mr. English over here told me it's mischievous.
Everybody gets that wrong, though.
Yeah.
Like everybody.
I used to say.
I bet 99% of people say mischievous and it's mischievous.
But I will say he used to mispronounce only.
I did.
So he used to say only.
I used to say only.
Yeah,
She corrected me. She's like, I'm like, no, it's only, right? Like, oh, and she, No,
how could you not know that?
She goes, it's not only the lonely.
It's
only the lonely. You know?
It's only the lonely.
And then I was like, oh, yeah, I am mispronounced. Oh, okay.
He was ordering me a double cheeseburger at McDonald's.
Because I said something like only pickles and lettuce.
And I said, what is only?
Misty makes a good point. All the folks who have been threatened, followed, stalked, bullied, missing posters being pulled down, C&K knowledge of neighborhood camera placement. All red flags.
What do they think they're doing? Like following Bullhorn Betty and JLR and what do they think did they really think it's all going to go away by doing that?
Right.
It's crazy. It's so foolish in any.
Ooh.
I mean, I just don't understand what they think they're going to accomplish. He knew Betty was streaming live and still pulls up behind her. And I mean, it's so.
It was like
that's why it's like they're living in a whole other world than the rest of us.
Well, it was like watching a movie.
They just think the world, they don't have the same boundaries of like anything. I don't know. That's why I think they're actually kind of dangerous for reporters. I think all the YouTubers out there need to be careful.
Very careful.
About approaching them anymore and getting in their space. I think they all should. Hopefully. I mean, keep telling the story, of course.
Well, I think that's part of it is they don't want us talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what I mean. Like, keep doing the story.
That's what you can do. Yeah.
Just, head on a swivel,
I Am Bear says the trip to Alaska by the Bower Sox just a few days later. Mm-hmm.
And then the tropical vacation wherever they were, taking pictures on the beach and
Puerto Vallarta, I think.
Yeah, that was I get the Alaska thing too because it was so close. But
it's so odd.
So what I can't quite figure out, was that a work trip though? Did he have to take that trip?
Supposedly Terry had work there.
Yeah.
So if it was a work trip, I can kind of say, yeah, okay, I get it. You gotta work.
But it's the pictures, right?
It's the pictures where they're, on the beach.
I think that was the one. That was not the trip.
Here's a good one.
Okay.
Here's a really good one.
Red flag, no friends.
Ooh.
That's solid. That's a solid red flag.
Nobody in the neighborhood was their friend.
Nope.
Nobody knew them very well.
Yeah. I think I heard Betty mention this. Bullhorn Betty talk about that actually. What her angle on it was, when you have a situation where there's a home and you don't see children playing outside and you never see the family, and that can be a sign of some kind of abuse and control because you're not letting people out to socialize. You're keeping everything in the home.
I don't think that's who it was. Maybe it was. I don't remember.
I might be wrong, but I think it was her.
I don't remember. This is a good one.
Chris said very early on, they will be looking into this for years to come. Duper's delight, and he knew Sebastian wasn't coming back.
Keela's son likes Deception Detective, I'm guessing.
Duper, yeah. So if you don't know what he's referring to, or she is referring to here, Duper's delight is that laugh where you're lying, and you kind of have that laugh afterward because you're almost enjoying that you're getting away with your lie. I know if you are a fan of Deception Detective, he says that Don Wells did that on the Dr. Phil show. He would do that, and he categorizes a psychopathic type of liar.
Okay, I'm trying to catch up, guys. My gosh, so many.
Family history could be one too, actually.
Oh,
red flag, right? They both sides, they have some serious family problems, and it's hard to break that generational kind of abuse stuff that can happen, and that could be just a sign in general that there might be issues with the home.
Funnel cakes, I think, are spaghetti cakes.
Oh.
Okay,
I hadn't heard that.
Funnel cakes. That makes sense.
Now, I would probably be calling to brag about that if somebody made me that in the morning.
Yeah, but she wouldn't do that every day for him, right?
Spaghetti pancakes are thin strips of pancakes fried in thin rows. That sounds amazing.
Like a funnel cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I bet it's not something she did very often. That would be that'd be, which is the whole idea of it being his fun day. If she knew it was planned, that she wasn't going to see him again.
Misty's got a good one.
Misty. Oh, right. I forgot about this one.
Strange.
So, February 26, 2016, Katie filed for divorce. February 26, 2024, Katie reported Sebastian missing. Seth and Katie married for 8 years. Katie's actions is not of an innocent mother of a missing child. Katie not calling Seth first when not finding Sebastian. Yeah, I forgot about that date. Yeah,
a lot of people talk about that one.
Yeah, Seth. It is a really weird coincidence if it's a coincidence, and if it was planned, I don't know. I mean, it's a 1 out of 365 chance, right?
I like Merge's comment here.
Merge says, "Love that you guys interact with the chat."
That's because we don't have content, Merge.
Not true.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Actually, we usually just don't get to everything that we have planned because we get so wrapped up in the chat. But I get a lot from the chat. I enjoy it.
We love talking to you guys. Because it does help us think. It helps us think things through.
About the date. I mean, could that have been if that ends up being on purpose, then and that changes what ideas you might have about motive, right?
This is a good one too.
Marilyn in Sam says runs away without taking anything.
Yeah,
that is a big red flag.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we didn't talk about this either. A teenager that's favorite thing is playing video games, and he's leaving home, and he doesn't take his Switch or his phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
or clothes or shoes. Yeah,
just impossible. Impossible to believe that he did that without a plan. We haven't mentioned this theory, but we have in the past. But the Peter Hyatt theory, that one possibility could be that if he and Katie maybe got into an argument or he had done something wrong, Katie locked him out of the house without his shoes and said, "Why don't you just think about what you did all night?" Or
that was one of Peter Hyatt's theories.
Why don't you go back to your real dad's house and get out of here, and whatever, in some kind of rage. And then next thing she knows, he's not around or can't find him. Maybe but then when you go into the whole, but he's just doing that based on statement analysis.
Right.
He doesn't use outside evidence. We have the benefit of knowing these cameras, no scent from the dogs. He doesn't factor any of that in. He just factors in statements and goes by that. So that's how he got to that. So I don't think that's likely.
And Rita says PI, this is to answer your question.
Oh, great. Thank you, Rita. PI Heather said on panel, people were coming up to her about Mama Bauer sex at Worsham's. Okay. So Heather, so that maybe I'm getting the PIs mixed up. I thought it was Chloe, but maybe it's Heather. I'll have to go back and listen to that and see.
I mean, there's so many red flags, you guys. Misty.
Misty, thank you so much.
Thank you, Misty. Misty is one of our mods, and we appreciate her.
Yes, we've got a couple of great mods, Misty.
And we really do hope that your mom is. I hope everything is good, and we'll pray for you guys.
Yes, we don't say we're praying if we're not praying. I don't just throw that around. I actually do pray for people if I tell them I'm going to. So I will be praying for your mom tonight.
Are you trying to say I don't?
No, I'm
joking. I'm totally kidding.
Just saying.
I'm getting silly. It's past 10.
I know. I'm just saying it's not an empty thing. I say I will be praying for you tonight.
Did you read Misty's comment?
He's getting ready to.
Christy Katie, Pinocchio foot.
I'm trying to show it, and I don't know how to do it. Can you show it?
I can't get it to work either.
Okay, hold on. All right.
Is it got a timer thing? Is that what?
Oh, wait, hold on. Maybe it's way down. It is. It's way down here. Hold on. I'll find it. You keep reading it, and I'll look for it.
TNK Pinocchio foot and TNK stalker socks are intimidating.
That's a good
folks in hopes to scare them so much they'll stop looking for the truth of what happened to and finding out where Sebastian's located because they are guilty. In your opinion, Just gonna throw that in there to protect all of us. I go back and read it. Yeah.
Chris and Katie.
Yeah, I think it seems to be their MO. You know, like they just bully their way through life. You know, they want the baby, they bully Nina and tell her to get off the property, we'll bash your head in, allegedly. Chris doesn't like people taking pictures of his house, so he threatens them. You know, threatens to. What are we laughing at, Andy?
Olivia's comment.
Let's do it. Olivia says Chris saying he's being crystal clear when he's being muddy AF. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Chris,
and Misty said thank you for the prayers. They really do work.
Yeah, certainly will. Crystal clear is ruined for me as an expression.
I know, no kidding.
And you know what? To be honest, I didn't realize how many times I said that. And now that I hear someone who I feel might be untruthful saying it, I can't. Yeah. I stop myself every time I say it.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have a red flag shortage. No kidding. No kidding.
We got to be like around 100. And so many of these are like really good ones, and I never even crossed my mind when we were making our list.
Oh, here's another good one.
Gigi Dillagaff says, huge. Chris said he was great at chess. Tells me Sebastian always thought out the
That's not the one you were supposed to read, but that's a good one.
Oh, okay.
It is a good one.
Misty Fisher says, Chris stating we called sheriff because that's what we're supposed to do.
But go ahead and put Gigi's up since
huge. Chris said he was great at chess. Tells me Sebastian always thought out the next move.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that's been so hard to me about this case is I just don't really know what Sebastian was like. You know, we haven't seen, like,
there's so many guys.
I'd love to just kind of see him in a conversation, like any video of him in a conversation, just to get a sense of it would help, like, to understand what he was capable of, because we don't know.
Ooh. Okay.
We know from people we know, but I don't know.
Read that one, and then I've got one from Olivia I want to show.
Karen Wynn says, Chris being the mediator between Katie and Seth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is strange, isn't it?
Okay.
That whole dynamic is strange.
Olivia's got a good one.
I have to go back to when Chris said that if law enforcement told Seth what they had told them and he opened his mouth, he'd never open again. What did Ellie say that could be so damaging to them?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is going to be one of the things. There's a lot we don't know.
Why they didn't post a reward.
Oh, that's good.
That's a real good one.
Jen Cow says, why did they not post a reward for him? Try to find him. I mean, they're not like uber wealthy, but they've got money.
I mean, but we've seen some that don't have money at all, and we've seen the communities raise $25,000 and $50,000. So I don't think that the money is an issue.
Haven't even tried, have they? Raised money. I mean, I swear it's like. I mean, at this point, it's too late for the optics,
right?
You know, like
that's over.
If they came out now and said, "Oh, yeah, we're working on getting a reward," and yeah, but that's because you've heard 4 months of, criticism. It's like when she wore the shirt for the first time, like 3 weeks later, because everybody was talking about how Seth, was out there wearing his shirt, saying Sebastian's name, really getting the word out, and I mean, I don't know, but I suspect that what happened was Katie saw how innocent everyone viewed Seth. And so she's like, oh, well, I'm going to also wear a shirt and people will think. And then she did that like one time and never saw her in that shirt again. Am I wrong?
I don't know.
Yeah. You're now, this one I don't know about. Go ahead and read that, Mr. E.
Stephanie, I like your name.
Chris says, comparing the Riley Strain missing case to Sebastian Rogers missing during early interview before Riley was found.
I don't remember that.
I don't either.
One thing I do remember Chris saying about that case was that he suspected that the Strain parents were coming under the same criticism that they were. Like that, I bet they're in the same boat as us, which was not true at all. Because the Strain family,
they were all over the place. They hit the ground running.
They were every day on the news and putting up billboards and leading searches themselves. And were super positive and working with the police. Like they were, they were exactly what you expect from parents. So they weren't getting the criticism that Chris and Katie have gotten. But he was okay. Here's one I've got about Chris that I don't know if I've heard anybody mention, but I will hear Chris when criticism comes his way about suspicion. He'll always throw Seth into it. Like he'll say, not I or Katie or the father are under any kind of investigation. All three of us are in the clear. All three of us have been cooperative, And the thing is that, people for the most part aren't worried about Seth, but it's like he wants to ride that innocent coattails of Seth. Like he wants to lump himself in with Seth because nobody views Seth, or very few people view Seth as having anything to do with it. But he always tries to lump himself in with like it's the three of them together, so that they're not looking at him and Katie. I don't know. It's just one of those things I've noticed.
Misty says Chris stating the parents have been cleared, and that was actually on my list.
Yeah, we just we didn't do that one though.
No,
but yeah, that and then law enforcement explicitly saying that no one's been cleared.
Okay, well, just to be fair, I'm putting this up there.
Nursey Ken 76 says, I have a question. Have you considered Seth's behaviors? A good example is of him being on panel at 3 a.m. making sexually inappropriate comments with Sebastian's picture of his avatar. Well, do you want to say or me? I don't know. I can address it if you like, but I
think we're talking about red flags with the case,
Yeah, but I kind of started talking about Seth a little bit too, so I get why. He has. I don't want to beat up on him too much because he's a victim in this. He has poor judgment, and he has exercised poor judgment for years. He's made a lot of really big mistakes, but I don't think he has anything to do with the case. And I think he'll likely continue to make a lot of mistakes. There's a kind of an immature thing about Seth, I think. I just think he kind of is immature. But that doesn't make him, I don't make the connection between all of that and him
guilt.
being and guilt.
Yeah. And I think you're just trying to be logical about the guilt.
Right. And so that's why I don't want to once we kind of in our minds cleared him, and there's a lot of reasons we cleared him. I'll just kind of quickly go through them. One is he's got the rock solid alibi being in the jail as a corrections officer. There's just no way you could leave those premises for the 2 hours it would require for him to have been the one to have gone into his wife's home and all that. He's begged the FBI to help. He's been by far the largest advocate for getting Sebastian back. If you just watch any of those early interviews, there's no red flags from him at all. He's not made great choices. He's not trusted the right people at times, and made lots of mistakes. But I don't think that means that there's guilt.
Yeah.
You got anything to add about Seth?
No,
way?
I mean, no. I think you're right about just,
So I just don't want to be too hard on him because he's a victim here. That's why I don't want to get done into all of his.
And all of our red flags kind of make us feel like that,
Yeah,
you can't put, just because he's had poor judgment doesn't mean that he's guilty of a crime like that. And basically he hasn't always had the best judgment, but he's got a rock solid alibi.
Yeah, it's hard not to. It'd be like a crazy if he were somehow involved. I don't even know how it could be possible. Yeah, the real Me Too. Seth is the only one who breaks down over his son.
Consistently.
And, I don't know. Maybe we have different perceptions. It's genuine to me when he's upset. It's genuine to me. Especially those early days, and I put a lot more stock in those early days than I do the more recent stuff. That's where a lot of my judgment comes from too.
Okay. Wine Time says,
I think Chris tries to tie in Seth. We definitely need to do all the red flags for each parent. Love that idea. Yeah, they probably all do have their individual individual ones.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So we've got some other ideas of directions we want.
Got more going.
Huh?
We've got so many.
Okay.
People are joining late, but yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you though.
So if you have a red flag before, we'll probably go here in maybe 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, we're probably gonna wrap it up here.
Yeah, if you've got any
last chance,
any red flags that we haven't done tonight, or if you missed the beginning, that's okay. Throw up the little red flag emoji. That helps us to see those.
And if you can't do a stop sign or something, just something maybe
something
red will probably get our attention in the chat.
And if you're on the replay crew, tomorrow, go into the comments. We read every comment.
We read and try to respond to every comment.
One of us does it. She's the majority,
right?
But I read all of them anyway. And if there's any we missed tonight, that'd be great. I'd love to add those to our kind of gigantic. I did not realize how many there were. Let's see. So,
but you were telling them you want them to put their red flags in the comments.
Yes, did I?
I'm telling you, it's getting late.
It's getting
a little late.
Time for Mr. Edie to go to bed, right?
I am Two Bears says claiming he passed a poly, then saying he hadn't taken one on Nancy Grace. So yeah, there's a lot of conflicting information about the polygraphs.
Well, there's caginess about it. There's word salad on that stuff. Yeah.
You could literally you could do an entire stream like we just did tonight. Where are the Chris Proudfoot lies? There's a lot.
Yeah, but that would take so long to do the research.
But there are a lot of them that he's been caught on.
There's a lot.
It'd be a big list. So you almost have to just do like one red flag that covers all the Chris Proudfoot mistruths.
I actually have one listed like that. And then I wanted to address this real quick. Nurse Ken says, thank you. At one time, you need to look at all three parents as victims. So, and then Real Me Too says what you're saying is absolutely fair.
Yeah, and that's okay, Nurse. I hope you're right. I hope you're right that they are all three.
That would be really great.
I'm just not there right now. I just, Karen says Uncle Taco gives me red flags on his own. Okay, no thought. Yeah, so I haven't watched a lot of the Uncle Taco. Yeah. I've watched about 10 minutes just to see kind of who he was.
I'll tell you guys, he will not look at stuff that's not relevant to the case. If he thinks Uncle Taco
Adrian!
What?
Adrian's on!
Oh. No way!
So I see. We have to just go late night to catch Adrian. This is the first person that joined us on any of our live streams. So welcome, Adrian. Adrian, law enforcement makes announcements or updates soon. Good to see you back. Yeah. We were mentioning you earlier how we hadn't seen you in a bit, and we're hoping you were doing okay.
And Adrian, shoot us your biggest red flag on this case. That's what our talk about is tonight, are the red flags in this case. So if you've got your favorite red flag or the biggest red flag, share that with us.
Angela's got a good one.
Angela says, one red flag for me is how Chris has said things like the best part is he didn't leave any evidence. He disappeared. He always wanted to be a ninja. They sound like silent brags about his job.
He did say that.
It's like he's almost making fun of him or something. Like it's like it's creepy to me. The ninja thing with that comedy when he made that, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
Okay. We may have to just, Anna or Annie, we may have to just do a whole show on red flags for Tony. Tony's got his own red flags for sure. But I don't know,
Annie Ruler says, allegedly Tony's purpose is applying for grants. For that, he gets 10%, several grants for parents of missing disabled kids. Oh, okay. I didn't know that's how that.
Yeah.
I suspected it was something along those lines, some kind of commission, on whatever. I wasn't exactly sure the structure, but people call that a scam. I don't think that's a scam if he's actually
doing work.
So I don't know what to make of Tony. Again, he's one of those people I don't pay a lot of attention to.
He's more of a sideline for
yeah. I just don't think he has a, I hope if Seth trusts him, I hope that he's doing right by him and helping him. And if he's not doing a good job, I hope he lets him go and figures it out. But I don't have an opinion myself.
Okay.
Brandy Field says, when Chris called to tell us that Sebastian was missing, and Chris starts with saying, "Don't be mad." Yeah, that's
a big one.
Bad. I bet that was. I remember Seth talking about it. Was that a red flag to Seth too? Did he say at the time it was like, or did he think, was it thinking back? I wonder.
He just was kind of matter of factly saying what Chris said to him. I don't know if it really stood out to him as being odd, but the more I thought of the comment, that I thought it sounded like almost an admission of guilt, because kids, if a kid breaks their mom's favorite vase, they say, "Mom, don't be mad," but don't be mad. You wouldn't. That's what you say when you do something wrong and you want the other person not to be mad at you.
Right.
That's a perfect analogy to that. That's exactly what that's what that sounds like, doesn't it?
And oops, it's me. I do agree that I don't know if you've watched this before, but I agree that Seth is heartbroken, and I have a lot of sympathy for him. I think about what he's going through a lot, and I talk about it to these two a lot, and I say, it's like we're watching the stages of grief in real time.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's really, really, really sad.
It is.
Adrian shared his red flag.
How no one has popped up in Mr. E's Crimecast chat or live stream yet?
I don't know what that means.
That's a red flag.
Do you mean like the Proudfoots? Like somebody like that? Is that a red flag? We've wondered if we've had them here. I'm not sure.
But they're welcome. They're welcome. Everyone's welcome.
Yeah. So, well, if they're listening to this at a point, maybe they will. I don't know. But we'd be happy to interview. We'll be fair.
Jen says this whole case is nothing but all red flags, in my opinion. I think that's kind of what we were inadvertently demonstrating. So
I guess the whole point tonight, in a way, to us was that when we no trolls, it's amazing.
No kidding.
Yeah. So did we go subscriber only again tonight? Is that what we
I
did?
don't even know what I did.
But that was good. I think we did maybe, or it was just the mods like knocking them out before we even saw them.
Because we have the most amazing moderators in the world.
Sometimes it's like that because they get them so quickly. So we appreciate the mods doing that and keeping it good for us. We'll, as we said, we're going to continue to do the Sebastian Rogers case going forward. Of course, there's always something to discuss. We already have a few different angles and topics within this case that we know we want to get to eventually. We wanted to just kind of go through why a lot of what we're doing is looking through, why we are looking at the Proudfoots at this point. So that'll make sense as we go forward. We're probably going to be covering the I don't know how to pronounce his name. The Muir Muir, the Indianapolis Colt and several other teams who's got a missing child. I think even if that boy is found really soon, it's going to be a lot to discuss with that story, and it's so we're going to be following that and talking about that. I think possibly Friday. We're looking at Friday.
Yes.
So we think Friday, and I don't know. Do you have anything else to add tonight?
I don't. Just like I said, like you were saying, is we would appreciate everybody that is watching it on the replay to just go ahead and comment with their biggest red flag, or if they have multiple. Yeah. Oh, Misty.
Okay. Misty says, y'all remember when Chris stated if they were rich, Sebastian would be back by now. What the heck did he mean by that comment? I don't know what he meant.
I remember that.
But that is one of the comments that if you want to think that he might be alive somewhere, that's a clue to that, right? Maybe. If we're trying to be hopeful, then maybe he knows something we don't know. I don't know what he meant by that, but it was a strange
when that comment was made, it almost made you think that maybe he was being held for ransom and they would have to pay something to get him back. That's kind of the impression that I got. I thought it was such an odd statement. And that's the first thing I thought of was like a crime show where somebody's being held for ransom and they have to pay him.
Was it Chris though, or Seth said that?
No, I think Chris said that.
I'll have to look that up.
Chris said that.
For some reason, I think Seth said something.
I feel like Seth said that.
Well, and then Chris had made a comment about about going to church to find him. If Seth would go to church, he would find him there or something. I thought there was some odd comment like that as well.
Yeah.
Hey, Misty, if you do have that, will you email it to me? I would appreciate it. And I agree with a couple of things. I agree with the real me too. Give us a like.
Yes,
I appreciate that.
That helps us a lot.
Because I forget about that stuff, honestly.
No, that's not our strength.
So I wasn't crazy. Karen said, "Yep, church too." Yeah, some comment about that as well.
Was that comment? Was that kind of just like insulting Seth? Like, oh, well,
I think so. I think that's what the intention was. But it was really kind of off-putting to say, "Oh, well, if you go to church, you'll find him there." It was
it sounded one of those holier than thou kind of comments.
Can I throw out a possibility? Is that slippage?
Oh, I
don't know. Maybe we should
like
present that to the deception detective and ask him what he thinks. I don't know.
Well, they would look at all of these statements, and if they were trying to figure out where to look.
Also, we already kind of talked about
Tashi Renee says
he said he's already that one. Yeah. I believe he ended up in the trash bin through misadventure or malice. That's actually one of the things I thought initially too, is was he hiding in the trash can and got taken, accidentally. I've thought about that. I think about it so much, way too much.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to say that Seth is going in for surgery tomorrow. So prayers for Seth.
Yes. Hope that all goes well. Surgery, even any surgery's, scary. And I hope it all goes well for him.
Well, the real me too. This is a great way to end this, I think. She says, everyone have a safe and wonderful 4th of July. And I agree. I would love for everybody to have a safe and wonderful 4th of July. Did we already get Misty's super chat?
Yes, I think so.
Yes, we did. And thank you, Misty, for that. That's very
kind. Thank you, Misty. Sorry, I get caught up in the actual comment. Thank you, Misty. I appreciate it.
Auntie, you got anything before we go?
I don't think so. This is a marathoner tonight, but boy, we had some great chats. I just want to thank everybody for being so active in the chat and really coming up with some awesome red flaggers, because I think we could do this for 3 more hours. We had so many. So thanks to everybody. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you following us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We'll be talking again about Sebastian soon. I think we're going to do the Muir story next, but of course, we'll keep doing Sebastian because we're seeing this through to the bitter end.
I think we're going to try to start doing Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Of course, this week we can't because of the holiday this week. So we're looking at Friday. But I will try to put it out in plenty of time so you guys can join us. And I think it's going to be interesting to talk about because there's a lot to unpack on that.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story, and we haven't even dug in on the research yet. So, but we'll be working on that.
And then, if anything's breaking, though, we will just know if something huge comes up. We will probably go live for that.
Speak for yourself.
Yes. So, obviously, if anything huge happens with the story, that changes everything.
Or any story, for that matter, that we're following.
Or Caleb, or anything we're following.
Yeah. Karen says, "Good night, crime dogs." Good night, Karen. We appreciate. Yeah, I need to change the shirts because I put OGS, and I know that everybody likes the dogs like that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
You kind of nicknamed us crime dogs.
I know.
So that's awesome.
Was that Karen that came up with crime
dogs?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
and we do have a store, and we have funny little things in there if you're interested. But
I
thank you guys.
What? I like crimies. The crimies.
Well, I have a whole idea for the crimies. I'll tell you about it later.
Okay.
What time zone and time on Friday?
probably 7 Central. That's the guess.
Yeah, probably close to that, unless we have technical.
And I get happy Canada Day to all you Canadians.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yes, we have a lot of Canadians. Thanks for joining us.
Well, happy Canada Day.
Yeah. And everybody's saying thank you. And you guys, we really appreciate you, like Aunt E said. And I guess.
And this is a good one to end on as well.
Sure.
People, when you get tonight to pray for the children of our world who become a target for these horrible situations. They're vulnerable and need protection from the evils of our world. That's a great way to end, because Rosebud, we haven't seen you tonight a whole lot, but I saw a couple comments, and that's a great one. So yes,
that reminded me. I made this to add, with that, Of course, if anybody has any information about Sebastian, please call 1-800-TBI-FIND with tips, information, and let's bring this baby home.
Absolutely.
So
thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Olivia. We appreciate you guys. Thank you, Jen. Thank you. Good night. And happy 4th of July.
Thank you.